Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being so extraordinarily patient with us this evening. I've had technical difficulties in getting one of the articles that's going to be this fortnight's movie review. There's been a few the technical difficulties is one of the graphics screwed up, where it was trying to say, this is the movie, this is the year it was made, and these are the movie studios that did this. I'm someone that takes a lot of pride and dedication in making my movie reviews look as professional and as high quality as I can possibly get it, because even with what I do as a hobby, I have the mantra of, if you're going to do this as a hobby, at the very least, make it look professional, because it says to the audience, hey, I care enough about this that I want to make it look like it's on the same level as that of, say, Warner Brothers, Universal, because I've been a movie fan for as long as I can remember, and I always take pride in what I do, and it's something I remember Steve Austin saying once: either do it right the first time or don't bother. You make one screw up, even if it's something like in the credits, there are people who are very harsh critics, and I'm one of my own worst harsh critics, so that's where we stand with that. Dan is saying, hey MJ, if you and the SKO crew are looking for something to watch for Halloween, might we recommend the Scooby-Doo Project? Left a link on your Discord along with other recommendations. Yeah, you sent quite a few this week.
I remember that.
I remember.
Oh my god.
Sean Retro says hi. We're going to start off with one particular anniversary topic. This is not coming from any website this evening, and this will be prevalent to both Raiden and Lydia. This year was the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania 16, which was the McMahon in every corner Fatal 4-Way elimination match.
Oh, God.
Now, from what I remember about WrestleMania 16, and also was only the second WWE WrestleMania to be on DVD, and WWE DVDs in early 2000s until it got to about 2001, the frame rate was jerky, to say the least. I think the only two memorable matches that I can think of from that night, the Fatal 4-Way match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, as we just mentioned, but also so far the only time I've ever seen this in pay-per-view, a two-full triple threat match for the Intercontinental title and the now retired European belt. Currently they're saying the music's a bit loud. Okay. Sorry, Sean, it's just so I can hear it as well. Raiden, what do you remember about WrestleMania 16, and what was the one match that stuck out for you?
Well, I remember it's possibly one of the worst WrestleManias, but not like worst, but like not decent, because you gotta remember 2000, WWF/E was on top of the world, while WCW was regressing into Russo territory. So, for what I remember was the inklings of the TLC concept between Edge and Christian, Hardys, and the Dudley Boys in the Triangle Ladder match. That, for me, that's one of my favorite matches, because it almost birthed TLC mantra between those three teams. And of course, like you mentioned, the really interesting concept between the European title and the IC title on the line. And yeah, those are the only good memories I remember of that match. And the main event itself was pretty good. Even though it was jarring, and of course, like wrong person won. I guess I don't know, but All in all, 16 itself was pretty decent for those 3 matches alone. The rest, which was basically tag team central because you didn't really get that much solo stuff. It just felt so like very rushed in my honest opinion. I mean, WrestleMania 2000, yeah, it was 2000, alright, just 2000 overdone with tag match. So yeah, those are that's my memory of that whole event. Just the 3 matches that I mentioned and the 1 match that you mentioned.
Liz, same question.
Well, definitely hands down is the TLC match between the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys. It's like, again, they had to repeat it again at WrestleMania 17, which, don't get me wrong, that was awesome too, and even got more people involved, because I think each team had a man in their corner, or at least a person in their corner, because Hardy Boys had Lita, and good lord, the hit she took off those letters.
Yeah.
Did not mess around. But I felt like, again, that this basically, this WrestleMania was lackluster. I mean, the freaking selling point was the McMahon in every corner match for the main event. I'm like, okay, cool. Can we move on? And just it was just a hot mess, and not to mention the fact that, again, it's the Attitude Era at the time. So guess what we had? A cat fight at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
we're still trying to.
The point is, again, it was a lackluster pay-per-view. There were some good moments, there were some great moments, but other than that, it was meh.
And you bring up WrestleMania 17 because that celebrated its 19th anniversary this year. I think from a marketing and promo pay-per-view aspect, the way the video package that they had for Rock and Austin, that's arguably the best promo package that they've done, and was probably one of the very first pay-per-views to have recording artists actually provide the theme. Because say what we will about Limp Bizkit, but My Way couldn't have picked up a better track for that year's WrestleMania. And when you have some of the most amazing matches, like TLC 2, as you mentioned, but Jericho versus Regal, personally I think that should have been moved to a little bit more towards the middle of the event, considering the Intercontinental title was supposed to be the second most important championship in the company's history at that time. This is even preceding the Undisputed Championship unification match later in the year. But then you also had Undertaker versus Triple H. Personally, I think this match was better than the one at 27. Oni may or may not agree, because we always know he's listening somewhere. Hey, Oni. But Austin, Rock. And I mean, the match itself, 5-star all the way, probably better than their first WrestleMania match 2 years prior, but no one saw the heel turn coming. That threw everyone for a loop. I mean, I went into this, and as soon as he saw like McMahon hand Austin a chair, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Are you guys trying to do for Austin what WCW did for Hogan 5 years prior by making him join the NWO? I mean, you can try turning Stone Cold heel, which that in its own merit had its own problems because that heel run just didn't work. But then again, if we didn't have his heel run, we wouldn't have gotten the what chant, and they're still chanted that to this day. Well, not to this day specifically, but before everybody decided to shut down. 17, some argue as the greatest WrestleMania ever. I'm a little bit more lenient to 21, but it was Austin making his comeback WrestleMania after being out injured with a broken neck. Well, not really a broken neck, it was just an injury that he hadn't actually gotten seen to properly after being dropped on his head by Owen at SummerSlam 2 years prior. But hands down, one of my more favored pay-per-views in my collection. It ended for all the wrong reasons, but the quality of that pay-per-view easily surpassed WrestleMania 16. And that's the end of my thoughts on it. Raiden, go!
So what now?
Your thoughts on Mania 17, the standout matches to you, and did you ever see that heel turn coming at the end?
Oh man, like WrestleMania 17, I'm always gonna say greatest WrestleMania ever, and you know, matches stand up for me. Half and half. I'm a pure wrestling purist. So Angle versus the man who should not be named. That I sometimes go back to that, but I always go for the Royal Rumble 2003 bout. But it's still one of their best. Another one, let's see. Of course, TLC 2. Like you can't mention WrestleMania 17 aside from Rock versus Austin without mentioning TLC 2. Like it's one of the most standout TLCs you'll ever see, and that's something I'll never forget. Main one for me was just the whole build between Rock and Austin, and for that I was listening to Limp Bizkit's My Way on repeat along with Linkin Park's One Step Closer. So hearing that on TV, it had me a little starstruck. So yeah, that's my memories. And yeah, I did not see that heel turn coming either. Like for years, because I was watching wrestling half and half. I knew for a fact Angle and McMahon just went after each other for years. So seeing that just still of them shaking hands, that was shocking. So yeah, the execution was done right. Unfortunately, the aftermath was just a piss poor version of Austin as a heel. Like, yeah, half and half it's pretty funny, especially how much he loves McMahon very much, and his funny moments with Kurt Angle, of course. But yeah, the execution was not there, because you got to remember, Austin was at the time easily one of the biggest draws WWF/E had. So turning him heel, and especially now that The Rock has left Hollywood for the first time ever, yeah, that was not a good look. Even though the two-man partnership between him and Triple H was pretty cool, but yeah, the heel Austin was no bueno. So yeah, those moments in 17, easily one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. Some WrestleManias can't even top half of that, even though I think 19 is pretty good too. But 17, possibly the greatest WrestleMania ever. And unfortunately, with a certain someone still in power, you're never going to get something like that. But still, at that time, it was there. Still love it to this day, and still it was something that we'll never forget. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, let's same question to you.
Well, what was what was the question?
What are your memories of WrestleMania 17? What were the most standout matches for you, and did you see that heel turn coming right at the end?
Yeah, actually, that's the perfect pay-per-view I saw. My brother ordered it off the cable, then when we had cable at the time, and I was actually really excited. The hardcore match was really fun, even though we almost lost signal. We even drove over one of the cables. I'm like, dear. Then it was, of course, for me personally, it was Shane versus Mr. McMahon. That was fun in so many ways, because you saw how that storyline played out to the point this was the crescendo, because we all knew that Linda was all drugged up and all that. The biggest pop for me was, well, in that match, was when Linda got up from her chair. I'm like, I literally cheered, because it's like, after all the crap she went through with her husband, he deserved that kick. He deserved that kick to the groin. And of course, like again the PLC match that was amazing. Triple H versus the Undertaker, that was like again that was fun, and of course the main event that again I'm with you, that I did not see that turn coming where it's like Austin was willing to win by any means necessary, and that includes in a sense selling his soul to the devil. And again, it was a fun pay-per-view. I enjoyed it, and it was a good pay-per-view for it being my first one.
Oh, let's not forget, good old JR sold it like
didn't he
sold it like crazy.
Oh God, you could just hear the betrayal in his voice.
Oh yeah, and considering that was Paul Heyman's first WrestleMania, I mean, you know, we could say what we will about the character, but as an announcer, really underrated.
Yeah, I agree.
Dan's asking, are there any Halloween Havocs you recommend I watch for Halloween? I've never actually seen any of them, dude, because keep in mind, I've been WWE all through and through ever since I got into wrestling. I've seen, like, the history of WCW, and, well, there are some moments through its history that we like to pretend didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason he's mentioned Halloween Havoc is because of the fact NXT in the next couple of weeks is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, who answered the question again? Who asked the question?
Dan was asking about Halloween Havoc.
Well, Dan, if you want, check out the match between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, which was basically match for the title, and I believe it was in. Let me check. Google. Get that out the way.
Oh.
Halloween Havoc 97. Yeah, search that, and you will be amazed on how much these two knew each other back then. It was probably the best that Halloween Havoc had to offer.
All right. Well, Kaiju's AFK at the moment, but something popped up the other day that's, well, let's just say a certain modern stereotype had to come and rear its head again.
Oh no!
Dare I ask?
Wi-Fi Karen threatens to kill her neighbor's dog if she doesn't get their new password in unhinged rant.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm sorry, what?
Most of us have had a period of our lives at one time or another where we stole our neighbor's Wi-Fi to save some money. As long as you don't drag the neighbor's speed down too much, it's a victimless crime, right? Who among us? But it seems like there's probably not many of us who would go over to our neighbor's house and threaten them and their dog if they dared to change the Wi-Fi password. That's just taking the entitlement too far, right? Maybe that's exactly what went down for someone on TikTok whose neighbor turned into a so-called Wi-Fi Karen.
Oh, God, no.
I want to hit my head against the wall
now,
repeatedly.
I
want to do something, but I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to aggravate my back injury.
I'm not going to play the videos just in case this person goes a little too far, but there are some summarizations. In part 1 of the saga, Wi-Fi Karen began by yelling wild legal claims through the front door, threatening both the person filming and their mother. I live here. It's illegal. Come outside. Let's talk. Give me the effing Wi-Fi before you get you arrested and your mom. It is, of course, not illegal to change your Wi-Fi password, but it is to threaten someone for doing so, which is probably why the person filming did not respond in any way and just let Wi-Fi Karen rant. But But that only made things worse. Wi-Fi Karen became more agitated and visibly angrier at their neighbor's silence, and that's when things took a turn. In part 2 of the encounter, Wi-Fi Karen upped the ante by threatening to kill her neighbor's dog. Don't threaten the puppy. Don't threaten the puppy.
No.
Do not threaten animals.
After giving her neighbor 2 seconds to come outside and give her the new password, Wi-Fi Karen used some very chilling charades to mime a slicing motion across her throat while pointing to the neighbor's dog. Doggy, dead. You're not gonna F with me, because when you're outside by yourself one day, you're gonna be F'd. When the threat of physical violence against the dog had no effect, Wi-Fi Karen then switched to poisoning the dog, claiming it's not illegal because the dog is not a person. Now,
What in the actual fuck,
Hey, whoa! Excuse me?
Now, we're not lawyers here, but we're pretty sure that's not how the law works. The video was posted in the public freakout subreddit, where people had plenty to say about the bizarre interaction. That dude better protect the dog. A crazy beat like that has nothing to do with herself other than play out her threats. Lots of free time and no Wi-Fi. Ouch. Get a job and pay for your own Wi-Fi. I'm not...
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm not saying that aloud.
Probably wise.
No.
Let me see.
The thing is, if she said, "Hey man, I have to..."
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I'm not saying that aloud. The thing is, if she said, "Hey man, I have to work online and I don't have any Wi-Fi right now, can I please use yours?" And I'm sure he would have given it to them. I think I'd let her have the Wi-Fi password back, but block her devices or limit her bandwidth so that much it made it impossible to use. Maybe even do some URL filtering and DNS modification to point some sites her way. The possibilities are endless. And on TikTok, people had plenty of other ideas on how to handle Wi-Fi Karen. Change your Wi-Fi name to Not Your Internet. Tell her the password, then change it again. Veronica Wolf says, "I would commit a murder." And you Maddie Gaming, and at the point of her threatening me, I would have turned off the camera and given her a free trip to heaven. Little dark. Imagine someone telling them they have to let you use your Wi-Fi like that. Call the cops, get the bear spray, tell her to get a job, or all three. Ow!
I'd go for the bear spray.
Let this be a lesson to us all. Never give out your Wi-Fi password.
Whoa.
I got nothing.
Neither do I.
That woman is freaking crazy. Oh, it's a Karen. Never mind. Oh, even worse. It's a Wi-Fi Karen.
Bum, bum, bum.
I got one thing to say. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached another great moment in stupidity.
No. Let's back it up. Let's go into reverse. Let's rewind. Steve, that's being too good for them.
Ooh.
Tip your waitress. I'll be here all week. Lids, thoughts?
I honestly got nothing. What the fuck is wrong with this lady? You don't threaten someone's dog because you wanted the Wi-Fi password. Lady, get a job or freaking get your own freaking router and stop threatening people's lives, you crazy word I'm not going to use. Oh God, I'm just scared with these women, just entitled individuals who think that they can get whatever they want by freaking muscling or freaking threatening people. You all deserve to go to prison or be beaten severely. Not to the point of death. Just someone needs to put you over their knee and just freaking spank you. And not in a fun way. Yes. I got nothing. It's like I really got nothing.
Alright, I hand you your weapon of choice. You may use it at your leisure.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Alright.
Uh-oh.
I don't fuck with you. You little stupid ass bitch, I ain't fucking with you. I got a lot of million things that I'd rather fucking do rather than fucking with you. This is a big ass mulligan for me, man. I ain't deal with a crazy ass Karen. Like, oh, fucking threatened puppy. What the puppy do to you, huh? Joy. Hold on. Let me find a quote that I just found on Facebook. Let's
Oh
see if I
boy.
still have it. Oh, I got it. From Giancarlo Esposito from The Boys. I can't lash out like some raging entitled maniac. That's a white man's luxury. So yeah, I fuck with this Karen, bro. Let her be a whiny ass bitch. It's for the camera. The world see how crazy you is. So do your worst. You ain't gonna do shit. Just waste your energy so I can go on my day. Fuck out of here.
Steve? Steve? There you are.
You go and threaten somebody's dog and somebody else's life over something as trivial as a Wi-Fi password to a Wi-Fi network that isn't even yours? Yeah, good luck explaining that to the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. Save your white tears for someone who cares.
Kaiju, any thoughts?
Like Lydia said, this is just another example of someone who is clearly overly self-entitled, probably grew up always getting what she wants while never having to work for it. And the moment she doesn't get what she wants, she responds the only way she knows how, and that's acting like a complete and total nutcase. And you know what? There's obviously there are tons of people like her, and so as long as the internet exists and there are people out there willing to expose them for the crazy idiots that they are, the internet will essentially do its job for those people and will publicly humiliate and shame them. I doubt that they'll learn anything from this experience, but hey, you know, it's another day. It's another day on the internet. You know, another day, another crazy person. It's just at this point, I've become numb to it all. At this point,
Right?
Wynn's online. Get her thoughts on it if she is actually going to join us. I'll read out a couple of comments. Dan says, "Damn it, Kara, this is why we can't have nice things." Sean, "Get your own internet." Sean, "Pets are part of the family, you heartless person." Dan says, "I saw the episode of The Boys, fantastic." Sean says,
baby boy.
Sean says,
Baby boy, let me tell you, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not gonna spoil, but let's just say a character that I hate got that ass beat, and I loved it. I loved it.
I know what you were talking about.
You don't even know.
Sean says, "Not even Pinky and the Brain can fix them." Ouch.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering? I think so, Brain. But why call it the dynasty if none of the people were duck?
Hey, Wynn.
Hello.
hello.
Good evening.
How you feeling?
A little woozy. Sometimes being a lady isn't easy.
You know it.
Do you want to girls' night in with Lydia afterwards where you eat nothing but cookie dough ice cream? Raiden, stay away from the ice cream.
I actually have a pot of Ben and Jerry's in my freezer.
Ooh.
Well,
But to be frank, that actually wouldn't sound bad at all if Lids didn't live, like, I think 8 hours away?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Somebody invent teleportation quickly.
Yeah. Invented properly so that we don't turn into a Cronenberg monster.
Ooh, yeah, good point there.
Or anything H.P. Lovecraft.
No. No.
Well,
Anyway, speaking of that, check out H.P. Lovecraft Country on HBO if anyone has that. It's pretty good.
What about
Speaking
that?
of-
Monsters.
Oh, yeah,
Ugh.
the first episode. Let me tell you, that shit gets bloody real fast.
And
Ooh.
speaking of which, the Eldritch Overlord has decided to join us. Hi, Navi.
hello.
Now.
Greetings, Overlord Navi.
Greetings, mother. Are you ready to pet me between the ears?
Now.
Well, I got something that'll perk your spirits up. It's that
Ooh.
time of the fortnight again.
Okay, cool. Yee.
It's time for another battle royale.
Oh no.
Okay, it's not that fortnight of the month. By the way, we really need to stop meeting up like that.
You know how
Now-
much fun it is. Don't deny it, MJ.
Now, just to troll, I could see Kaiju knocking on MJ's door. He opens the door, and Kaiju starts flossing. Oh god, he's flossing! He's flossing!
And I'm at 0-0.
That's zero.
Likewise.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Knock, knock, knocking on MJ's door.
God.
Ooh.
I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Ow. And I just got stabbed in the eye by one of Navi's whiskers.
Hey!
Wonderful.
Jackie.
Reboots. Sometimes they're necessary, and there's other times where they're nothing more than a cheap money-grabbing excuse to cash in on a name. It's not uncommon to see Tinseltown recycle a franchise as a means of being able to make some quick cash. Of course, Sony are no strangers to this with the amount of time Spider-Man has been rebooted. In the case of Batman Begins, this is where I look the other way. From the perspective of, so many years had passed from the infamous entry of
I'm definitely digging the
1997's
background music.
Batman and Robin. Thanks. That a clean slate needed to happen so that the franchise could become active again. With 2008's The Incredible Hulk, the franchise was rebooted as no clear-cut direction could be made to continue what Ang Lee had begun 5 years prior, and Marvel only just beginning their cinematic universe. This was only the second entry into the MCU and just mere months removed from the cinematic debut of Iron Man that launched RDJ into superstardom as Tony Stark. So, has time been kind to this reboot? Well, it's time to find out as we get mad again. This is where I'm going to shoot the While this is not a perfect movie by default, it's a much more enjoyable experience with regards to pacing, character evolution, and far more exciting than the former. Those that know my thoughts from earlier this year with the 17th anniversary of Ang Lee's Hulk will saying that the pacing was glacier, boring, and above all else, depressing. With this reboot, the origin is done away within 3 minutes of the title sequence, which I think was a wise move, as we all know the Hulk's origin in the same manner that everyone knows the origins of Batman and Spider-Man, respectively. We don't need to see it revisited so extensively yet again. So taking the express route where it's in and out with the origin of the TV series was a nice touch. The pacing of this flick never really slows down. Sure, you get moments where the pacing by comparison to Hulk scenes and the prelude to said scenes are slower, but it never gets so slow that you're marking time for the movie to end. What I find rewarding is the trials and tribulations that Bruce goes through in everyday life, from working at the bottle factory in Brazil and to where he's traveling back to the US dealing with the aftermath of what his alter ego had gotten him into. There are 3 agendas in this movie. First off, Bruce just wants to cure himself. After being on the run for years, hopping borders and working jobs to lay low, just so he can have some level of normalcy. General Ross wants to capture Bruce so he can extract the Hulk for himself, so he can weaponize it for the army, whilst Emil Blonsky wants the power of the Hulk so he can be the fighter he never knew he wanted to be, until he encountered the creature for himself. I had mentioned before in the very first season of this show of the Easter eggs that are littered in this flick, paying homage to the Hulk's history, from references to the TV series with the chair, Bill Bixby, and to the Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno, making only his 2nd live-action cameo in a Hulk movie, and his 2nd time as a security guard. The purple pants and the creator in the late Stan Lee with the neon pizzeria sign. There's even a nod and setup to Captain America during a conversation between Blonsky and Ross when the super soldier serum is brought up. It's nice when the references are subtle to where those in the know will smile, reminding them where it came from. About the only potential link to the 2003 movie is that this movie begins in Brazil, but that's about it. To sum it all up, the pacing is decent, character arcs are decently developed, but more emphasis could have been focused on Bruce's torment in dealing with this affliction, as it felt too idealistic in the way he deals with it so calmly.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see
that. Right
that.
off the bat, Edward was a much better casting choice for the role of Dr. Banner. Kevin Feige wanted Norton because of the way he acted like the late Bill Bixby, who had played Banner in the live-action TV series and its 3 sequel movies. In that show, Bixby shows Banner on the run, helping others with their problems, despite dealing with his own in looking for a cure. What separates Norton from Banner is the fact that he doesn't spend his screen time in wallowing self-pity and confusion. He chooses to be proactive in not only looking for a cure, but also finding the means to control his anger with breathing exercises, as it's established that it's not just anger that can trigger the transformation, but it's a rapid pulse rate that, once it hits 200 beats per minute, is when his eyes light up like it's Christmas on Wall Street. Now, the rapid pulse rate can be anything from cars going too fast, being cornered into a fight, or to getting lucky. Even as the Hulk, he can't get hurt. I think what's also interesting to look at Norton's performance is how
You got Hulk blocked.
By the time the movie begins in Brazil, before he reunites with Stan and
Nobody wants to
Betty
get
when he
Hulk
returns
blocked.
to Culver University, that sense of self-imposed
Hulkamania shows
isolation
up. It's
where
like, you better believe you're not getting any
to be
chance,
cut off
brother.
from people you love and care about, just so that you're able to keep yourself and
Somewhere in the
others
States,
safe from yourself.
Oni is
When you
screaming
don't know what
internally.
you're capable of,
And he doesn't know
whenever your
why.
affliction will flare up, and Norton was easily the best choice to succeed Bill Bixby as Dr. Banner. I see very similar acting sensibilities between the 2 performances. They both choose to keep a low profile because they know that if they were sighted, then they would have the military chasing them. Or in Bixby's case, it was an annoying tabloid reporter that falsely accuses the Hulk of a crime he did not commit. Sounds like a precursor for modern journalism. Come on. You know I'm right.
Oh,
I want to make this clear that I happen to love Liv Tyler as an actress.
Ooh.
She's talented and she doesn't oversell her performance.
this is why
But
legacy
in this,
media
I
is
got the sense she
dying.
wasn't selling anything.
Mhm.
In a weird way, it's like father like daughter, as I think Tyler was miscast like Hurt. Had Jennifer Connelly been invited back to reprise her role, then it would have been a much better choice. And it certainly would have given Edward useful material to feed off of.
Is it me or we have,
I just
or
didn't buy the
have we
chemistry
had a
between
strong
Norton
lack
and
of Jennifer
Tyler.
Connelly
Now,
in
to be
recent
fair to
years?
Edward, he was
Yeah, a
trying,
little bit.
but Tyler was like a deer in the headlights. I'm gonna keep
Yeah, as
this
for Liv
short.
Tyler, I don't
William
think I've
Hurt
seen her
was
at
just
all.
Flat, bored, and looked like he didn't want to be there. With Sam Elliott's portrayal, you felt the raw emotional energy pouring.
Yeah, it was a
from
bit of a
him.
downgrade.
With William, the only time he
Yeah.
seems to show any sign of conviction is during the second transformation scene at the university, when Betty gets caught in the blast, or to the last fight when he's giving instructions to his gunman. Very forgettable and, quite frankly, poorly miscast. The only other actor who was trying. Tim did this flick for his kids as he wanted to look cool when picking them up from school. What I find with Roth is that it shows the frustration of a soldier at the end of his career, where he still has the heart to keep going, but his body had other ideas. A lot of people can relate to this, as you get frustrated when you're not able to perform to the level you once did. If you were an athlete where you've lost inches on your pace or you don't have the same energy, but with experience comes wisdom.
Apparently the last thing Liv Tyler did recently is a TV show called 911 Lone Star.
How he's
From
able
what
to go
year?
toe to toe with the Hulk. very convincingly
2020. Actually, it's
until he
recent.
gets injured.
Hmm.
What's interesting is how you're seeing the mental and emotional transformation of Blonsky before the physical.
Need to
into
figure
the
out what last movie
abomination,
she
and
did.
Roth does an
Oh,
amazing
Ad
job of going
Astra.
lust
She did that. I
for
think that's that movie with
power. There
Brad
are
Pitt
some
where he's
that
an astronaut or
might
something.
argue that it was lazy
Huh.
writing
Oh,
to
okay.
retcon Blonsky's history to where he was raised in England after being born in Russia. I'd like to agree to disagree. It's just a lot easier for Roth to use his regular accent and be able to just focus on the performance. Mind you, that's not to say he couldn't have put on an American or Russian accent, but it didn't even hurt his performance. Although, I did find it weird that he was wearing an American Army uniform and not a Royal Marines uniform when walking through the halls with Ross. And he had a beard. That's frowned upon in the armed forces. Yep. You know that expression I like to throw around once in a while where an actor is enjoying their performances too much? I think that's the case with Stearns, as I got the sense that his quirkiness was actually coming from a natural place. Especially for a character that's known for being somewhat quirky and camp. Especially if the 1996 animated series is anything to go by, with the way Matt Frewer voiced him. I think if he had toned down the quirks, it would have been more ideal, but needless to say, it was a decent performance. There were some nice cameos from Stan Lee, who made his second MCU appearance after appearing in Iron Man mere months removed from this movie. And we have Lou Ferrigno appearing as a security guard, with actual lines as opposed to the 2003 movie. And Lou Ferrigno not only had his live-action cameo, but he voiced the Hulk for the first time since the 1996 animated series and sang the Hulk's catchphrase of Hulk Smash. One cameo I was not expecting was seeing RDJ in the mid-credit scene as Tony Stark, approaching General Ross about putting a team together, which at the time hinted at the Avengers would be formed to take on the Hulk. And truthfully, I would have liked to have seen that. This was an aspect that was used in the first Ultimate Avengers movie, where the Avengers all took on the Hulk after Bruce's serum wore off, losing control of the creature. That aspect did come to happen, but it was only in a small part of Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, where Iron Man in his Hulkbuster armor took on the Hulk that was under a hypnotic influence from Scarlet Witch. The cast was a vice versa for this reboot. The supporting cast needed recasting, whereas the leading protagonist shined like gold. Raiden's gonna love me in a minute. The practical effects do their job, and I was impressed with how they made it look like Blonsky had actually become a super soldier. This seems oddly familiar. And now for the visual effects. Oh dear.
Time.
You know how I
was
said in
brilliant.
the 2003 movie that look
How did this happen? Push-ups, sit-ups,
this
and plenty
movie
of
is
juice.
not as fortunate.
No,
as
that was
Rubberman
Sonic's
Hughes were not
catchphrase
as
from Satam.
Complimentary. If you adjust Hulk's budget of $137 million to 2008, then that would be $159 million. So Universal Pictures and Marvel Studios were paying slightly less at $150
At least Avengers got it right
in
with the
2008.
way Hulk
And it
was.
shows. Whereas the 2003
I don't mind how he
adaptation
looked in-
very
in
believable
the
with
2008
regards to
movie.
movement, skin texture, and
With
facial
this one, with the
expression,
2003,
this
looking
movie
at it
looked
again,
far
yeah, he's
too
way too, like,
cartoonish.
fluorescent.
That and the CG
Yeah.
was scarcely better than that of an Xbox 360 character, of which I made light of in the Hulk vs. Hulk review. Despite some color glitches with the
And then And then third time was a charm when Avengers came out. Perfection.
You got the right balance of green.
Mhm. Yeah, this one's definitely more yellowish green.
What's an
Whoa!
Xbox 360? The successor to the Xbox. But you won't get that for a few years. What? It took them 359 attempts just to make one good Xbox?
Oh God,
One
I
shot
haven't
that
heard.
really shows
I
the
haven't heard
cheapness
that
of this
in
CG
forever.
is this particular scene in the last fight between
And
Hulk
good thing that he
I can
doesn't
see
know
it.
about the Xbox
The way
One.
the light and
I
contrast
can see
is
the
rendered,
snarky.
that it
I can
looks
see the
less
snark in your
than
face, MJ.
polished, to where it takes you out of the scene because you can't take the animation seriously. The only thing that the movies had in common is that motion capture was used, rather than programming the Hulk's movements along with the Abomination, of which Tim Roth would actually record movements just to get a feel for it. That is the plus side to motion capturing. Rather than spending countless hours in teaching a computer how a character would move, essentially it's filming someone's movements and then pasting the applicable appearance over it. So, the visual effects, they leave a lot to be desired. And that's me being generous. Craig Armstrong was tasked with creating a score that would keep the audience's pulse going when the action would take place, and to having tracks that would complement relaxed and tender moments. One that I can think of is the moment where Bruce and Betty reunite to where they embrace in a hug. The score has this uplifting piece that is rewarding for the audience as it is for the protagonists. One really classy and respectful Easter egg is when Bruce is walking through the streets of Mexico and the Lonely Man from the Incredible Hulk TV series is played to a sad piano piece.
Oh, I forgot that was there.
Oh wow!
Hmm.
Oh wow. Hey, I like that.
I was so pleased that that was included because that score was played at the end of every episode of the TV series and the 3 sequel movies that followed. It reflects what Bruce is enduring with the problems his affliction has brought onto him and everyone else in his life. I do like the piece that plays when Hulk lands on the ground at the university with an organ piece that sounds like it's out of a classic horror movie, which is apropos when you consider that one of the inspirations for the Hulk was Frankenstein. In short, the score is brilliant. The movie grossed a profit of $264.8 million against a budget of $150 million. When adjusted for inflation, its takings today would be $323 million. Now, on the one hand, anything past $300 million these days is considered a hit. But the movie was met with mixed criticism, citing that the movie didn't have what Iron Man had, and that was wit and heart. I'm inclined to disagree. While I will say that it's not the greatest MCU movie ever created, that honor still belongs to the first Iron Man. But at the very least, The Incredible Hulk was entertaining and actually offered something for Hulk fans that made them appreciate the character again. It didn't come without its other share of problems, as Edward Norton was heavily critical of the tone and direction of the movie, where it should have focused more on Banner's tortured psyche to really see his sanity being tested that would have likely seen darker moments. And that's logical, because if you have an affliction where your conscious mind stops every time you get angry and rip your clothes and then winds up out in a field with only torn jeans and having no clue how you got there, I think it would leave you questioning everything. The original script had Rick Jones featured as a sidekick, but Norton had this written out as he believed that was not the right way to go. In a weird way, that was a good decision, as it would have slowed the pacing down in establishing Rick and finding runtime to feature him in the story, while also still trying to feature the reunion of Bruce and Betty. The ending left audiences questioning exactly what would be the next phase, because it had been a month since his last incident, and we see Bruce supposedly channeling his breathing to remain calm, to then seeing his eyes light up, triggering a transformation. Was this a sign that Bruce had turned heel, and would this have unleashed a darker Hulk upon the world? Who knows, as we never got that question answered, as we wouldn't see the Hulk again until he teamed up with the Avengers in 2012, to where it was never explained. Which from my point of view is lazy writing. It was never addressed in Natasha's recruitment of Banner out in India, where he's keeping low as a doctor for hire helping out people with their health problems. I did appreciate this additional nod to the TV series because Banner would often put his concerns to one side when he saw someone in need. All we got from Mark Ruffalo as Banner was a single throwaway line of, "That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry," before turning into the Hulk. But again, there was no
Come on, that was awesome!
scene establishing how he would have gotten control over the creature, or at least being able to initiate the transformation without succumbing to his anger. Due to the conflict of interest, Norton was replaced with Mark Ruffalo for 2012's The Avengers. Norton claims that he was replaced because he wanted to go with a specific direction, whereas Marvel turned around and said he was asking for more money. The Hulk would appear again in 3 more Avengers sequels along with 4-3 Ragnarok. And to this day, there hasn't been another live-action solo Hulk movie. The movie has been enjoyed since 2008 on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. I'm MJ Knight, and Hulk ain't sad, he's content. So are we.
I think the reason why there hasn't been another Hulk film is because I believe
nice
any
when the
merchandising
references are subtle to where
profits
those
goes
in the
to
know will
Universal,
smile,
and
Yeah.
Marvel and Disney want all the profits.
And that's why they
Yes,
that's
yes, we
why they
established
haven't
this in
put
the-
any of the
in the
Hulk
last
movies
review.
on Disney
You
Plus.
said movie was bad.
Oh, really?
But it
I wasn't
was.
aware of that.
You said Hulk was
It sucks.
depressing.
I would have
It
loved
was.
to. I would have loved to watch
Why are
this
you
again.
making Hulk sad? Because your movie makers from the first movie were terrible. Hulk withdraws statement.
Aww.
I thought you
Hulk
would.
sad.
Now go team up with Hulk Hogan. No, Hulk have standards. Only puts up a sign. I have no comeback for this. I'm so pleased that was included because that score played at the end of every episode. I wonder if I ended up doing so many of these bloopers, I would eventually get mad and Hulk out myself. I wouldn't be able to afford the wardrobe bill. Come to think of it, I'm surprised that Banner was able to afford new clothes all the time. I mean, could you imagine Banner ever making it to retirement and say, I wonder whatever happened to that shirt I wanted to wear for college. Oh yeah, I hulked out. Well, at least he could always check out the newest trends before he would Hulk out.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt, yeah, buddy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Ah, I like that.
Gamma Knights, I like that. Always a big sports rap.
Yep. And I'm not surprised that, like, in hindsight, it does kind of make sense seeing how Edward Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo, since in the time after 2000, in the time between then and now, we've had certain, I guess, creative individuals within the MCU who have left projects as a result of creative disputes between them and Marvel/Disney. The biggest one that comes to mind was I keep forgetting his name. What was the name of the director behind the Cornetto trilogy who was going to do Ant-Man?
Oh yeah.
See, it's gonna Edgar Wright. Yes, he was originally attached to Ant-Man before he left, due to creative differences.
Another thing is this: Edward Norton, if you don't know, he's notorious for being very difficult to work with.
That is true, yeah. And I do recall another instance in, I believe it was American History X, where I remember. What was it? I remember I met the writer of American History X at my university. Yeah.
Wow.
He was giving a lecture, like one of those like late night lectures, following a screening of a private screening of the movie at my college, and he had like a Q&A section, and he gave the story of what went down in post production, where apparently the director went a little bit too far with the editing, to the point where he was on the verge of ruining his own movie. And so both he, the writer, and Edward Norton both teamed up against the director to take control away from him in post-production, in post-production editing.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was definitely some big drama there. So I guess it wasn't so much Edward Norton who took control, but rather it was a combination of him and the writer. And it was one of those rare instances where the writer was involved in the entire process of the movie, whereas in most cases, the writer just hands off the script to the production staff, and then, they just move on to the next project. Yeah, so, yeah, as you guys mentioned, he's kind of a little bit difficult to work with, since he's definitely more of Edward Norton is more of a hands-on creator, as opposed to being one of those actors who's just kind of essentially just told to shut up and do the scene. Which is, to survive in Hollywood, that's kind of what you sort of need to do, unfortunately.
Hey, your lines, Ed!
Yeah, just read the lines, stick to the script, and everything will be okay.
Oh, but I think this will be cool. No.
You don't want us to set up an appointment between you and Harvey Weinstein now, do you?
Ooh.
No.
No,
exactly.
No.
Go back on set and do the fucking scene.
No, we don't want to set up a meeting with Shia LaBeouf either. No.
Oh, no.
Especially if he comes over and winks at Lydia. It's like, stop that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you don't comply with what we say, you're gonna end up doing your career's gonna end up in doing a series of Sci-Fi Channel and Lifetime original movies.
Ooh.
And we're Hollywood. We can make it happen.
That's the kiss of death.
Well, you can make anything happen except, a string of decent movies these days.
Burn.
Didn't know that hindsight that Norton was difficult to work with, but the flip side you could look at that is he cared that much. He wanted to come in and say, hang on, this doesn't work. Let's make this better.
Yeah, it would definitely work. He seems like the kind of actor who would definitely succeed at being an actor-director combo.
Yeah.
Like if he was actually in charge of his own project, that would probably work out the best for him.
Yeah.
Because I actually looked at the deleted scenes from the movie. Quite a few of them weren't necessary.
Sorry. Just remember, like Ben Affleck and Clint Eastwood are two individuals who are acclaimed actor-directors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Woody Allen, another director-actor.
Yeah, we don't talk about Woody Allen.
Yeah, with the first two, we can definitely attest that their movies are really good.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt you, MJ. Continue.
Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Oh!
Some of those are more just extensions of what was already going on. I mean, they'd have the setup at university just before he goes to run off. They would actually talk about more about, did we know what we were getting ourselves into? Evolution for human beings took tens of millions of years, and did we think we were really going to catch up within the space of a few years? Having really moral, philosophical discussions where they were debating, did we know what we were going to be letting loose into the world? And even in the one deleted scene is where Bruce is having a rather frank, honest conversation with Doc Samson, where he's being completely honest, but at the same time, being very cryptic, where he says, there are aspects of my personality I can't control. It's more complicated than you think. And I just liked the rapport between the two, because one of them is Samson is probing him, saying, look, I don't really want you back here because, Betty's with me now. And yet I find, you are here. And I'm curious as to, what's going on. And you see all these frank conversations between Ross and Blonsky, and even a setup between Ross's superior and giving, his account of what, he saw with the Hulk, just to say, look, I wasn't making this up, because this man was actually here. He actually saw the thing. And it's like I said, when they went straight to the Avengers, there's no explanation of what happened with Banner. Did he get control of the creature? Did he find some way just to basically hit the on switch for him to, to become the Hulk? Because the end of the movie, his eyes light up, and we never got an answer. It was like, was this him getting control, or was he turning over to the dark side? We never got that answered. And I just think, like I say, it's just lazy writing. It'd be like, let's say for the sake of discussion, Kaiju goes to sleep today, and tomorrow he wakes up and he's Super Draco Azul without any explanation. But like, okay, this is nice, dude, but what happened? It's like, you're never going to know, because fuck you, that's why.
And we don't want to give Universal money.
like screw the origin story, superpowers.
Although, sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the early scenes in the first Avengers movie, you see actual clips featuring the Hulk fighting off the military at the university. When they're basically just, I think it was when Nick Fury is discussing the Avenger Initiative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just highlights from the first Hulk movie. And even, they were showing that to Stark in Iron Man 2, which I thought that they were going to go into the Avengers movie to say that, oh, the Hulk is the problem, you guys are going to come in to take him out, and no. Like I say, there was just no explanation. He's just brought in, and they touched upon when Bruce was in Harlem, but they just seem to gloss over it, and they just seem to act like Betty just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Mm.
I thought that was just a little bit harsh. I mean, I personally don't care for Liv Tyler's incarnation of Betty. I mean, it's like I've said, I like her as an actress. I think she's nice on the eyes. Lids will agree. But as Betty, I wasn't feeling it. I mean, Jennifer Connelly, she actually gave a performance. I actually, would watch her and think, that is Betty. She's actually showing concern. She's actually giving a performance as a scientist. With Liv, no. There just wasn't anything there. And it's like I said with the review from earlier this year. if you put Edward Norton in the 2003 movie with the writing of this movie, that 2003 movie would have, well, it wouldn't have been an Academy Award winning thing, but it certainly would have been remembered in a better context. Whereas with this one, good story, good protagonist, lousy supporting cast, visual effects, little iffy. But, you know, it is what it is, and with regards to what I'm affectionately referring to the gag as Blonsky the Hedgehog, it just struck me one evening. I thought, and the score that they were using in the background, there was like certain beats that reminded me of Green Hill, and I'm like, click, idea. And I was trying to think of like any Sonic quote that would sound good if Raiden was going to say it, because I thought, gotta go fast, like, no, that's too generic, everyone knows that. And because I've often said Raiden sounds a lot like Jaleel White, it's like, okay, time to think of a a Jaleel quote. And I was like, up, over, and gone. No, he won't say that. Juice time? Yes, he will. And originally, I was going to have Win popping up saying giggity, but I thought, no, Lids is a tiny bit more suggestive than Win. I thought, no, I'll let her use that line, because it'd be like, ooh, giggity.
Probably good choice. Even if I did try to be flirty, it would come out awkward, and my social skills are like awkward enough to where intentions can get misconstrued.
Sounds like a regular Monday afternoon for me.
It's like, oh God, I'm just trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to hit on you or be all seductive and shit.
Originally, Kaiju's cameo would have been when I was saying how the 2003 movie was glacier and depressing. I would have had Pop goes, "You're being far too kind there, my friend." But I just thought, nah, you got Hulk blocked.
I appreciated that one.
And, when popping up saying, this is why legacy media is dying, is because, well, it's true. I mean, the way it's going at the moment with regards to radio, TV news, and printed news, nobody's listening to them anymore, because a lot of, and this will be somewhat prevalent for Stephen as well, channels like BBC, with their news coverage, they're not giving the news in an impartial, unbiased way. They're just shoving opinions down people's throats, and they wonder why about well over 100,000 citizens in this country have cancelled their TV license, because they're just like, nope, screw you. It's like, you're going to shove your opinions down our throat, we're going to flip you the bird, and it's not the one you eat at Christmas either. But that was one I spent a tiny bit more time on, because I thought this was one review that last time I checked, the Hulk versus Hulk review has actually surpassed 6,000 views. Why this one is still so popular with people, I don't know, but at the same time, I'm not going to question it. But I thought, at the very least, be decent, actually put some time into this, because as it said in the review, there's a lot of reference and love to the original live-action TV series. While I will admit, it probably hasn't aged that well with regards to aspects of special effects and what have you, but the writing and performances, especially from Bill, everyone has their favorites. For voiceovers with regards to the Hulk, it's always going to be Neil McDonough as Bruce Banner, because you felt his pain with that character in that animated series. But Bill Bixby's always going to be my favorite, because he's what a lot of people refer to as a cold actor. He's not necessarily the most vocal actor, but he can give you so much with just through the non-vocal acting and just the way his eyes will be, where he's exuding so much pain, despair, or happiness. I mean, anybody that's ever seen the season 2 opener, Married, where he's going through a nightmare and he's looking at this scene where his new wife is getting on a bus where Death is the bus driver, and you see him running screaming over to the bus to get it to stop, and then comes out of the nightmare hulking out. He was just such a gifted actor, and he was also a qualified magician, because he apparently would do that as a side job. And of course, some of you may know he was actually in a TV series called The Magician. I think he actually did that for one season before he went to do the Hulk, which he initially refused because he didn't want to do anything with comic books, because comic books back in the mid to late 70s weren't looked upon as with fond regard as they do now. But it was only when Kenneth Johnson decided to mix The Fugitive with Les Miserables for the Incredible Hulk TV series and have that onto the character of David Banner. And there's two sides to this story. Kenneth Johnson claims that David Banner just sounded better as a character, whereas according to what the late Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno have said, apparently the name Bruce was changed to David because apparently the name Bruce sounded, and I quote, too homosexual.
What?
Oh,
Just keep in mind, it was a different time back then.
Yeah, I was still in the midst of moral panic, where anything that might resemble even a little bit of fun is considered evil.
My stance with that is, if that is the case, Kenneth, not cool. But as Kaiju said, that's just how society was back then.
Yeah.
But, and this is just me being objective, David Banner flows a little bit better off the tongue as opposed to Bruce Banner. And
yeah,
I mean, that's just me calling it as is, because I was actually introduced to the live action TV series first before the animated series, including that one in 82 where every time Bruce changes back into the Hulk, he grows his clothes back. And I'm like, I'm at the time watching this thinking, okay, I'm 8 years old and even I can tell you that's nonsense. It's like, that's not how that works. At least the 96 animated series would go to the length of, hey, if he turns back, all he's got left on him is pants. And that's it.
Where's my wallet?
Now are we talking American pants or the British version of pants?
American.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, because pants over here. Here's the thing. If you're saying track pants, like tracksuit trousers, people know what you mean. But if you're saying pants as most people know pants over here, that's a UK word for Y-fronts or boxers.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my wallet? Oh, no.
Funny enough, in the season 2 episode, which was the season where Cree Summer was added as She-Hulk, Memory Lane, Bruce actually ends up in their old treehouse after changing back, and even he goes, where's my wallet? Goes, right here, fell out of your pants from your last Hulk out. And he's like, yeah, that's not embarrassing at all. First season of that show, awesome, amazing. Second season, maybe a tiny bit too lighthearted. I mean, we got to see a little bit more of Bruce's lighter side, a little bit wittier, and even apparently had Lou Ferrigno featured as an animated cameo, but it's not quite the same. And they had Michael Donovan as the voice of Grey Hulk, also known as Mr. Fix-It. By the way, that guy's got some sass on him. It's almost in this. Grey Hulk is what would happen if. It's probably what would happen if you gave Lydia the power of the Grey Hulk, and then just put the sass onto him that way. It's just like, okay, I'm not even going to remotely think about taking you on physically or verbally because I'm going to lose either way. Good lord. Although, interesting thing, they were going to do another TV movie sequel to Death of the Incredible Hulk, but this is where it gets a little weird. The Hulk would have been reincarnated with Banner's mind, but they're somehow able to bring David Banner back to life, but the two are still separate entities. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I know they tried something similar in Darkness and Light, which was the season 1 finale where they actually separate the two of them, but because of complications they had to put them back together, and that's when we got the second appearance of Grey Hulk at the end of it. But I don't know, I felt like the TV series probably could have gone on a little bit longer in 82, but Universal were looking to curb their finances a little bit, and maybe this is just pure coincidence, maybe this is just me reading into it a little too much, but about 3 to 4 months after the Hulk was cancelled, Knight Rider showed up.
And the rest was history.
I don't know. Like I say, maybe I'm reading it into it too much, or maybe it is just pure coinky dink. I wouldn't know what to tell you. Okay, Raiden. I'm intrigued to hear what your thoughts are, considering you seem to say that I get better with each review, so come on. I'm intrigued now. Where's Raiden gone?
I think Discord may be being a butt again.
Okay. Doesn't say if he's gone out.
Probably connection error. I know Discord's been funny with me tonight.
Yeah, it does this weird thing where if I put my headset on fully, I'm able to hear music, but I'm not able to hear you guys. Why it does that, I couldn't tell you. Alright. Until Raiden gets back, let's see. Stephen? Thoughts? Hello? Stephen? This is going to be a theme this evening, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, until Stephen and Raiden are able to get their audios. Oh, now we've lost Stephen, courtesy of... right.
So you back now?
Oh, no.
Stephen.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, now we hear you.
Right.
And Steven!
Connection.
Right.
Stupid connection.
Stephen, whilst you're here and we have the connection, thoughts on the review, go.
Nice bits of trivia you were able to dig up for the movie. Nice reference to Sonic in there. And I love, and it keeps getting it better. That's all I got to say.
Lids.
As usual, you did a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed this review. It was fun, and again, I like hearing your opinions on these certain movies. Considering the fact that a lot of the time I don't agree, but again, there are some points that I agree on, some points I don't. It's minor nitpicks.
It's all good.
But again, I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, and you did a good job again.
When?
Oh, this is a thing.
Oh, no, not again.
Adam,
Oh,
Whoa, there's a person.
what in the heck, yo?
I don't know. I don't want to
This-
know.
I just say Discord's being a butt tonight.
Yeah, being a little bit of a butt.
Eh.
Question. Oh, there's Win. Okay.
Sorry, I went to grab a drink.
You alright?
Still feeling a little dizzy. I just decided to grab something to drink really quick.
Well, you know Navi would rub it better, but cats have a real problem with opposable thumbs.
And the claws will scratch and claw like something you see on WWE, but Vince is still alive. And if I went too dark, I'm sorry, but you know I'm right.
Let's just put it this way, Raiden. At least you didn't go to Ailman levels of dark side.
Oh.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Win? Thoughts?
It was a good review. You went over the strengths, you went over the flaws, you spoke what was on your mind on the flaws in detail, and gave your opinion. It was well put together. And I did love the cameo of your past self.
Well, that had to get brought up because that was actually prevalent to, what was discussed originally 6 years ago, and also what I try to do as sort of a point of reference whenever the past reviews are referenced is noting the improvements with not only the green screening but the lighting and improvements to contrast and color in the background. Because ever since I discovered this one YouTuber called Prodigy, all one word, he actually gave out the settings for Sony Vegas to actually improve color, contrast, shading, color matching, color curve, and what have you, to where previously the videos I would do would look like they had a layer of dust over the lens cap, whereas now, as soon as you look at it, you think, whoa, that actually looks good. Because the filter that he has, he uses for his live streaming games and what have you, but it said you could use this for regular, YouTube videos. It's like, okay, didn't cost anything to find out, and personally, from my perspective, I think it makes the videos look better, but that is my 2 cents. Take it for what as you will. Wow, I haven't said that one in a while. Raiden, I know you've been very vocal in recent weeks saying that the reviews seem to get better with each review. I'm kind of intrigued to see where you stand with this one.
I mean, it's the same old, man. It's like you did your thing once again, especially how you went into the details on how this movie was made and the aftermath and all that. So, yeah, it's really good. You should be proud of yourselves, and yeah, I got nothing bad to say. It was very well done.
This is kind of a two-part question from my mentor here. Given how my writing, editing, I suppose acting skills, for lack of a better description of, from the time that I reviewed this movie originally as part of a Versus to now, what did you think of the review in question, and how would you say I've improved in the last 6 years? Because I'm kind of intrigued to see what your answer is going to be.
Let's see.
Oh, come on!
Guys.
Okay, that's fine.
Joking aside, yeah, I would say the biggest improvement in the 6 years between your Versus video and this newest, latest edition would definitely be the more snappiness of your editing, where it feels like everything moves at a much quicker and smoother pace. You don't tend to what's the word? You don't tend to focus on not focus, but you don't tend to stay on one topic for too long. You're always moving on to the next subject at a reasonable pace. You are definitely very much so in depth with explaining your points and then going in depth and expounding on each point and give the audience a explanation as to why you think certain things are the way that they are. And overall, smoothness, editing, pacing, everything is just more sharper, more straightforward, to the point. Nothing in the review ever overstays its welcome. And it provides a far more, how would I say, overall, what's the best word to say? You managed to provide an overall more, not sharper, overall more cohesive product in the end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this review on its own merits?
It's definitely another fine addition to your repertoire, and the sight gags with the sight gag with the Sonic level is definitely very very amusing, definitely the highlight of the whole review, and I would love to see more of that kind of stuff in the future. I am surprised you didn't bring up the suicide deleted scene from The Incredible Hulk. Not sure if you already mentioned it in this conversation. I may have forgotten about it, but it's a very interesting one because it's a deleted scene that was directly mentioned in the Avengers, and that Hulk suicide scene was what led to Captain America being free from his icy prison in the first place.
Oh.
Because if you remember, Bruce Banner was in the North Pole or South Pole, and he tries to shoot himself, and he ends up turning into the hulking out, spitting out the bullet, as he mentioned in the Avengers, and ended up breaking a bunch of ice, which freed Captain America, and that's what eventually led him to being claimed by S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of Captain America: The First Avenger.
It's funny, in the 2008 tie-in game with Sega, they actually reference that bit where you actually hear Fred Tatasciore as Hulk yelling out Banner in frustration, saying, "Oh, come on, really?"
And what's one more thing I want to mention? Oh yeah, and as for the movie itself, I'm glad you also you brought up the Robert Downey Jr. bit. And I wasn't aware that the whole idea of the Avengers getting together to fight the Hulk, I wasn't aware that was the plot for Ultimate Avengers. But then again, I still haven't seen either of those movies. But I believe that may have been the plot for the first of the first volume of the Ultimates in the comics, in the Ultimate Marvel Universe comics of essentially Avengers versus Hulk. But yeah, it's kind of weird now. It made sense in the context of 2008, where we saw Iron Man being recruited, and now Iron Man is putting together a team, and for whatever reason he needs Thunderbolt Ross. But it's really funny in hindsight, where that makes no goddamn sense in the context of the wider the wider scheme of both Phase 1 and all three Phase 1 through 3.
Actually, there is a tie-in to that, and how that makes sense. There is a short in one of the, I don't know which film it is, I think it's Iron Man 2. It's called The Consultant, where Agent Coulson meets with Jasper Sitwell over the Avengers Initiative, how they want them to recruit Blonsky, and Coulson kind of flubs it up by sending Tony Stark to talk to them. Ross.
Really?
Oh.
Because like the next time we see the next time we see Tony Stark, it was in Iron Man 2, at which
Mhm.
point you can clearly see that Tony had zero interest in joining the Avengers. So I'm
Exactly.
thinking, what
In
was
that-
he doing? What was he doing in the mid credits of Hulk to begin with? Then
I think he just wanted to mess with Thunderbolt Ross.
Well, from what I remember reading, he did that as a favor for Marvel, because they just asked him to come in just to do like a quick thing. Because of even though Hulk was actually publicized by Universal, even though it was a Marvel Studios production, it was still connected with what was going on with Iron Man over at Paramount Pictures, because this was still when Marvel Studios was still its own, production thing, working mainly through Paramount before Disney came in. Because I think Disney bought them in
2010.
Yeah. The thing is though, with the likes of Captain America, Thor, and the Avengers, those were still being produced through Paramount, and I think maybe Iron Man 3 or Thor the Dark World were the last ones to carry the Paramount logo, because Disney made the point of saying, look, even though we've bought Marvel, they're still going to see out their contracts, but things being as they are, I think Disney eventually just said, look, let's just buy their contracts out out wholesale, so we can take Paramount out of the picture, which I didn't have a problem with the way things were done through Paramount, because I still firmly say, purely based on what I enjoyed, Iron Man is still the best MCU movie. There are some here that may disagree, and I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, if I find it the most enjoyable and it's making me happy, then okay. If Raiden, for some bizarre reason, thinks, no, Captain Marvel is my go-to movie, which later he's going to come at me with a chainsaw and say, bruh, what the hell do you think would make me say that for? That'd be like if they ever made a Ms. Marvel movie starring Kim Kardashian, and Liz would be wanting to go, it's like, no, we were not going to go see this movie. I want Kim Kardashian to be gone.
Cock my shotgun. Excuse me.
And she's married to Kanye West. I don't know who's.
Oh, no, I got a double barrel.
I don't know who's the bigger narcissist, or who should I feel sorry for more.
The answer is yes.
I was waiting for that. Beat me by 1 second. I mean, there's plenty of people who gravitate towards Winter Soldier. I enjoyed that movie. Not my thing personally. Again, I think it's because with the first Iron Man, it's the setting up of how he actually gets the accident with the arc reactor in his chest, and you see him actually developing the suit in a somewhat practical way, and you actually see him taking flight with the Mark II to the very first assembly with the Mark III, which I've lost count the amount of times I've looked back at that and thought, this really is a movie that's 10 plus years, because it still looks amazing the way it was done. And also because RDJ is Tony Stark.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The only other person that does well as Stark, and this is a product of its time, but Robert Hayes as the voice of Tony Stark from the 90s animated series.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also, for those old enough to remember, Ted Stryker from Airplane.
Oh!
Yep.
Did not know that.
Yep. That's because I occasionally, go back to watch that movie. Then I hear his voice, coming out of Tony Stark's mouth in the animated series. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that voice. And I'm like, Stryker? Also, if they tried to make Airplane today, that wouldn't happen. No.
Don't do that.
If there was one voice I liked, even though it was very brief in one of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, I'd have to say Crispin Freeman did a good job as Iron Man.
Yes, he did.
Ah.
And it's nice to see our boy getting more mainstream work. Because he was also shocked. Because he was also
Electro.
thank you in
Yeah.
Spectacular Spider-Man, and he actually voiced Superman in a Justice League game for the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he's the male wizard pick in Diablo 3.
Hmm.
And Winston in Overwatch.
Oh, neat.
I still say though, if they ever recast this character, if they ever decide to do this character justice, Knuckles the Echidna. He's practically perfect for it.
Oh yes.
And seriously, Sega, if you're listening, stop it with the dumbass angle with Knuckles. It's so done now. It's gotten really tiresome. It has to be explained. There is a fine line between naivete and stupid. Someone could be completely intelligent but lack social skills, therefore the naivete. Naivete is not another word for stupid. It's just not having the street smarts for it. And the whole thing in the Sonic Boom game where it goes, which hand is my left? And I'm like, oh god.
Do you really want to answer that question?
It was a rhetorical question. There is no answer to it.
And say what you will.
Oh, there's an answer.
I will say this: say what you will about the game. They actually felt like they were kind of going back to his more competent roots in Sonic Forces.
Yeah. And apparently,
I have to say another good Iron Man who voiced actor Eric Loomis from Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He was actually really good.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
shit! Yeah, he was really great.
Sorely underrated series.
Yeah.
Which they
I'm
cancelled.
still,
Go on.
I'm still salty about that.
And it was
Mhm.
cancelled in
Disney
favor.
being
And it was
Disney being Disney.
and it was cancelled in favor of Avengers Assemble. Here's
Yeah.
Yuck.
here's what I will say in its defense. The animation is fine, but the writing is less than stellar.
Yeah.
It got better in later seasons, but it's still not Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
No. And also, I lean towards Earth's Mightiest Heroes not because it had a decent portrayal of Hulk and Banner, which I noticed they were leaning towards Ed Norton's likenesses a little bit, but it's also because they featured a snarky, sarcastic, and bubbly Wasp.
Oh yeah,
I just like the bit where she's trying to get the Hulk to emote by, pulling faces, and there he's just there, standing like a stoic statue, and it's just like, okay, whatever. And what was it? Very, very sort of different take of Cap, where he's not as jokey. He's trying to be a leader, even though he's taking orders from Stark, even because he was the one who formed the Avengers. Because dependent on the source you're reading from or watching, it would often be Fury recruiting them for S.H.I.E.L.D., but on this occasion, it's no, the Avengers are just their own thing, and S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to help out and what have you, and they kind of did a lazy thing where they got that version of Nick Fury to be both from the MCU but also acknowledging what happened in the past in the 60s comic, because they would have Fury with the white stripe in his hair, even though it's the character model is clearly referencing Samuel L. Jackson, but it's a way of meeting people halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be said, I don't know what it is about Sam Jackson, but he just fits into that setup perfectly. And he, even though he can't curse like he would usually do in most movies, he's still pulling his A game because he's just, bringing his blunt way of just cutting through the crap. Even though, because to be fair, if you had like a, when I say X-rated, I don't mean anything titillating or anything there. If you had like Sam Jackson allowed to fly off the handle as Nick Fury, Raiden would
And
probably
drop F-bombs.
Raiden would probably be busting a gut in there, going, "Oh good lord, no! He's going Sam Jackson. He's going all Sam Jackson in a movie."
I mean, if only he was allowed to emote and be more in as Mace Windu.
Ooh. Now, that is, I'm surprised. In all 3 movies he was in there, he's going all Samuel L. Jackson without dropping a single F-bomb.
You did have experience beforehand. Exhibit A being The Incredibles as Frozone.
Oh my god.
Where is my super suit?
Hey,
Why do you need to know? You tell me what my suit is, woman. This is for the greater good. I am your wife. I am the greatest good you will ever get.
Oh my god.
It's hard to think he's in his 70s though, because he doesn't look it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And from what I've been hearing, he's been asked to come back for the sequel to Coming to America.
Wait, what?
That's what I've heard.
Well, maybe in that case it could end up being good.
They've been done some of that.
Oh, found something here.
Mm-hmm.
I've just posted it in the main chat.
Yes, baby, yes.
I saw it. I want it.
Give it. Gimme.
Yeah.
Remember a few episodes ago where I was saying about Transformers going back into the Beast Wars?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, IDW has confirmed that next year they're doing a 25th anniversary comic run.
I kind of
Yes.
like I kind of like the design of the thumbnail. It kind of looks like a mix of comic book meets Transformers animated.
Oh yeah, I was definitely going to mention that. And looking at the full image itself, I noticed that they added in Night Scream of all characters, which I thought, really? A Beast Wars style version, an animated Beast Wars style version of a Beast Machines character.
I
That's
believe
pretty intriguing.
I believe the character is called Nyx, and she's based on the Bat
Oh.
Optimus Primal toy.
Oh
Which is-
shit, you're right.
Ooh, naming her after the Norse goddess of night. Good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't go with Convo Bat, since that's since I'm not sure if it was Hasbro or Takara that created Convo Bat, which was like a Transformers Generations version of Bat Prime. But yeah, that's cool. Sorry, what?
I think that may have been Japan. Might have been Takara.
Okay. Right, yeah, because Convo Bat was a Japan exclusive figure.
They've got the writer for this comic will be Eric Burnham, who wrote the Ghostbusters meets Transformers crossover, and
Ooh.
artist John Brucksham,
Mm-hmm.
who's worked on the Wreckers series of comic books as well as Transformers Galaxies.
Ooh.
Nice.
I do
And
like...
the large, oversized issue 1 will be hitting stands in February of 2021.
That's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
The image I've got the live stream focusing on, this is just such an amazing image. Primal in Beast Wars robot mode against Megatron's T-Rex mode.
Totally. Yeah.
That is just so amazing. I mean, it's almost looked like what if Rexy took on Primal?
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
Rexy dyed her skin to be, would you say purple or pink?
I'd
Purple.
say
Purple.
purple,
Light purple.
indigo, a very very indigo light purple.
Between this and Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom, I'm honestly surprised it took them this long for Hasbro to capitalize on 90s Beast Wars nostalgia.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially how they're not overdoing G1 like crazy.
Oh yeah, they have done G1 to fucking death by now. And makes me wonder how much longer it's going to take before they start pandering to Armada or Robots in Disguise 2001 nostalgia.
Yeah. Oh God, Rose in the Sky
Or-
2001. Yo.
Yeah.
Probably going to take
That's
another
what I'm
10
looking forward
years.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Well,
We're all going to be in our 50s by the time that happens.
though
God.
next year is the 20th anniversary of RID, because that came out
cool.
2000/2001.
Yeah.
Because it was brought over to the
Oh.
USA basically to fill in time while they developed the Unicron trilogy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the one I was thinking of. Like, what would they reference next? The the Unicron trilogy where they have to go after cyber keys.
Oh, yeah.
Armada
Oh,
was Minicons. Energon it
Armada
was
was Minicons.
Energon, and then
Ugh, let's not.
Cybertron was the
Energon.
Cyber
Ugh.
Planet keys.
Right.
Yeah.
Although,
Hey, you know how, like, sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but
Sure.
like, you know how the Transformers Generation toy line, like
Mhm.
from the Prime Wars trilogy to the to the War for Cybertron trilogy, they've been doing like some deep dives into some really obscure G1, G2 characters,
Mhm.
late G1, G2 characters, and giving them new toys, like characters we never would have even considered, like Punch Counterpunch or whatever. I wonder if they're like, when they start making more Beast Wars figures, which they already are with Beast Wars Kingdom, with Transformers Kingdom, I do wonder, do you think they'll might go into some like the anime Beast Wars the Second and Beast Wars Neo characters and give them brand new toys like Big
Like
Convoy?
Leo Prime.
Yeah,
Well,
Leo Convoy and
Hmm.
Big Convoy.
God, a great
Technically,
big.
technically they already did that years ago. Well, that was a third party company. That
Yeah.
did Perfect Defense,
That's-
Leonidas.
Yeah, and there is a masterpiece
Lio Convoy.
Lio Convoy, yeah,
Mhm.
toy.
It's difficult to say at this point because I think with this one they're just with Kingdom they're just focusing on the season 1 cast of Beast Wars.
Right.
But who knows after this which direction they might go. I would like to see a mix of maybe Transmetal characters and some of the Japanese Takara counterparts from the Beast Wars Second and Beast Wars Neo.
Right.
As long as they keep the same arc that was in the original TV series, like that's something I'm always gonna look for.
I mean, heck, Takara's even done their own unique figures. I mean, this just a few weeks ago, I got the Takara exclusive Generation Select Super Megatron.
Oh, word.
Is that a G2 Megatron?
It was based on Megatron when he was reborn in the Japanese Transformers manga. Let me see if I can find a picture for you.
I'm looking at a version of what do you call it? I'm looking at a version of Siege Megatron where he's like white, like half white, half green camo. Is that it?
No. I've found an image here.
Okay.
The one series I felt was cut way too short, too quick, and that was Transformers Animated.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I agree there.
Animated, man. Something about that was just so fresh and so unique.
Oh
Yeah,
god
but-
damn, this looks sexy. This is like IDW
$60 though.
Transformers Zone. A race of
remember
aliens
Zone.
ended up reviving Galvatron, turning him into Super Megatron. And which Derek White actually used Super Megatron as the basis for the animated Megatron design.
Oh. 'Cause
Yeah, I could definitely see the influences.
wasn't it Corey Burton that voiced Megatron in that series?
It was. It was.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this sounds absolutely ridiculous, it's just the way he sells it. Oh, for Spark's sake.
Yes.
I get what they were trying to do, but it's like with the 4Kids Turtles, where they hear them, it's like, what the shell is up with you? It's just like...
Hmm.
It's like, guys, I get you're trying to be dark and edgy, but you're a Saturday morning kids program. You can't. Because people know what you're saying, and it just sounds...
But the kids won't.
So, to
Well,
be fair,
you know what the old saying goes. Fuck them kids.
Yeah.
uh,
I think I
I was gonna say-
remember.
I'd
Go ahead.
rather we didn't.
No.
No.
I was gonna say, to be fair, a little bit before that, we had Optimus Prime going Vector Sigma, which is pretty much the equivalent of going, Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
I must have missed that one.
And then with Prime, they had the moniker of RC going, oh scrap,
Although,
on some occasions.
well, the one that we would get this on the DVD, but this would be edited out of the live version because censors didn't get what they were saying. It's like, oh, shut the slag up, which
Yeah.
slag in UK, I shall say this for our American audience in Discord.
It means melted metal, right?
No.
It's a very derogatory term in UK
Oh, yeah.
culture,
I know.
Okay.
which is why they had to change the Dinobot's name from Slag to Slug when it came
Right.
to the Fall of Cybertron game.
Right. I remember. Wait, he was in Fall of Cybertron?
Yeah, the video game where they had the Dinobots.
Okay. I never played it. I only ever saw the promos featuring Grimlock.
Yeah, it tends to be all about context, really. I'm pretty sure they didn't realize that slag was going to be a very derogatory word for a woman in the night, where kind of how the word spaz, where we use it, we just kind of use it as a means of saying, oh, I'm kind of forgetful and a space cadet.
Oh,
Where I kind of realized here, I didn't realize that in the UK, spaz was another derogatory term for those who are legitimately cerebrally challenged.
You've just reminded me of something, Win, which I think was mentioned on Russell Howard's Good News, because there was a Transformer toy that was banned in the UK, and they had to rename it just so they could ship it out here. And I'm not kidding. The original name for it was Spastic.
Oh, for real?
Oh.
I'm not kidding. That actually made headlines.
Yeah, how was it Kaiju once said? Yeah, he's no good.
He's not good.
No.
You want some of the lemon clutch?
So, any other subjects?
I got a few.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Copy and almost sent it to the wrong message on Discord. And here you go.
Ooh.
Ah!
Ooh, hello.
Is it actually good?
We'll see.
Godzilla anime series set at Netflix.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Ooh, singular point.
You may do the honors.
Titled Godzilla Singular Point, the series expands Netflix's roster of projects tied to the King of the Monsters. The streamer previously debuted 3 Godzilla anime films: Planet of the Monsters, City on the Edge of Battle, and The Planet Eater. The first was released in 2017, while the second 2 debuted in 2018. Singular Point will not be directly tied to the films and will feature an entirely new storyline and cast. It is currently slated to debut in 2021. The series hails from director Atsushi Takashi. The creative team...
Takahashi.
Thank you. The team includes Kan Sawada, composer for
Doraemon.
Thank you. Films and series such as... Oh wow, that's...
Yowamushi Pedal.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Japanese science fiction novelist To Enjo, making his TV debut as editor and writer for the series. Kazu Kato, creator of Blue Exorcist and the hit comic currently serialized in Jump Square, will serve as the character designer and animator. Eiji Yamanori, whose past work includes iconic Studio Ghibli films including Princess Mononoke.
Okay.
Spirited Away, and The Wind Rises.
That sounds promising.
Anime Studio Bones will produce in partnership with Studio Orange, combining hand-drawn and CG animation styles. I like where this is going already. Please give me now. Godzilla has been a staple of worldwide popular culture since the creature's debut in 1954, appearing in nearly 40 feature films since then. It has been a central figure in most Japanese films, though several American productions have been built around it. The most recent of those was King of the Monsters in 2019, an American crossover film. Godzilla vs. King Kong is set to debut in 2021. Give me now.
This article doesn't include it, but there's also... So, the article does include the concept art for Godzilla himself, but it doesn't show off the actual cast, human cast, for the series.
I've posted a link. I posted a picture on the Discord.
I was just about to do that. So yeah, everyone can see what the human cast will look like for this series.
I posted my thoughts through a YouTube clip because I think I'm going to bow out now. I'm starting to feel really queasy.
You do
Okay.
what you gotta do, Win.
I will talk to you guys potentially later if I feel better.
All right.
Okay.
Take it
care of
easy,
yourself.
Will.
Just get some rest.
Yeah, well.
Later.
Mhm.
She's a trooper.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Super Trooper.
Nah, but that does...
I bet you money that one of them is just one of the money-grabbing businessman type.
Oh yeah, I wonder who it could be. Certainly not the dude with the fan and the shit-eating grin.
Mm.
Man.
You got a military general type.
Mm-hmm. What I definitely love about these character designs, this is something I've mentioned on another friend's live stream, is that you can instantly tell their sort of personality and who they are and what they're all about just from design alone. And that's like that's a sign of a really good character designer or artist when you're able to convey so much information through a design, through a character's design alone. And from the looks of it, it also gives me strong Pokemon vibes with how they approach character designs. Where when it comes to Pokemon, the designers clearly go for a more internationally appealing aesthetic for all of them. Where they're not making these characters for a specifically Japanese audience, but rather they say, what is something we can design that can be appealing to an international audience? And I get that similar vibe for this cast of characters. And yeah, the one thing that does somewhat concern me when it comes to Godzilla Singular Point is their choice of director, where he has definitely been he's definitely someone who has been involved he's a storyboard director for a good long while, but when it comes to actual movie directing, he has only ever done 2 movies, Blue Exorcist and the 2017 Doraemon movie. So I was very curious as to why they would pick someone with so very few films under his belt as a director. But I'm assuming this might be a move similar to why Hollywood constantly gets a bunch of indie directors for their big budgeted tentpole films, like when they got Gareth Edward to do Godzilla 2017, or when they got Michael Dougherty to do 2014, and Michael Dougherty to do Godzilla King of the Monsters. In that, by getting someone with very little clout, very little power, Hollywood, directorial power, like say Spielberg, Tim Burton, or Quentin Tarantino, by getting someone with very little power in Hollywood, they'd have more. The studio would have more control over the overall project. So I think Toho or whoever is in charge might be doing the similar thing here by getting another person with that not that big of a reputation and having a stronger, more control over the project in this case. Although, given that he is a storyboard director, we may get some very well animated or very well, what's the word? Not well drawn. Well, I always forget this word. When you on the arrangement, it begins with a C. God damn it.
Choreographed?
No, but that's another thing. We can get some very nicely choreographed, composed, very nice compositions from someone who has worked with storyboards before. There was one more thing I want to mention. Oh yeah, the one thing is that I happen to know a person who is friends with the director. I know someone who is friends with the director Atsushi Takahashi, and from what he has said publicly, Takahashi was definitely not a fan of the anime trilogy, calling it, I'm using my friend's words here, trash. But he definitely sympathizes with the people who were the people who made those 3 movies, because he understood that these were not only heavily rushed but severely underfunded, because it was originally made for the anime trilogy from 2017 and 18 was made to be a television series, but it was changed into a trilogy of films at the last minute due to the success of Shin Godzilla. However, these movies were never given the budget to condense their story and properly tell it in a theatrical setting. So he sympathized with the people behind that, understanding that how those movies turned out wasn't necessarily their own fault, but rather it was corporate meddling that prevented them from telling the story they wanted to tell. So yeah, for him to understand the faults of the anime trilogy gives me a lot of hope that he may be able to learn from the mistakes of the anime trilogy and be able to produce Godzilla Singular Point in a far better, more successful, to a more successful degree, hopefully.
That does sound real tempting, as does this piece of news in a moment, which I think one of you provided in the Discord for the other day.
Oh my god.
From Illuminati, Hasbro confirms conversations to bring Power Rangers to animation.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Hasbro has confirmed plans to do a Power Rangers animated project at the Festival of Licensing, an online licensing event with Hasbro's participation. The folks at Mega Power Brazil had a panel with representatives from Hasbro and E1 who had some interesting things to say about the future of the brand. The Hasbro reps featured on a panel included Polar Kupfer and Casey Collins, Marianne James, and Michael Kelly, and Matthew, I don't know how you pronounce that last one, Prowlux. The question: the latest movie schedule didn't feature the upcoming Power Rangers reboot. Is this still in the works? Power Rangers is a beloved property. We are really excited about the next season of Dino Fury. Oh, we've gone back to dinosaurs again. I think fans are going to love that. As we partner with E1, we are exploring all the different content for Power Rangers, including animations. So we have a lot of projects in the works. To announce exactly what the roadmap is, we'll have more clarity by next year.
We'll let you know about Dino Fury. This is based off of the Sentai from like a year or two ago, called Ryu Soldier. And the funny thing is, when like dinosaurs tends to be Super Sentai's fallback anytime the franchise is on the brink of cancellation. So they'll just whip out dinosaurs because that's always a surefire success. So yeah, they brought back dinosaurs for the 4th time.
I mean, when they did it for Dino Thunder, because it was also a nice way of bringing JDF back into the fold, because Mighty Morphin, you could make the argument, was very dino-centric, even though the only two Zords that were from dinosaurs were the Triceratops and the T-Rex, because the rest of them were either mammals from the Ice Age or mythic.
Or a pterosaur.
And Titanus.
Titanus.
Oh, yeah, Titanus was a dinosaur.
But pterodactyl wasn't. That's a flying reptile. They're not dinosaurs.
Yep. They're not dinosaurs. They're pterosaurs.
And then, when, like I say, they go to Dino Thunder, which they hadn't done dinosaurs for years. By that point, I thought, okay, it's fine. And then they did Dino Charge.
Dino Charge.
Dino Charge, yeah.
I don't think they did a team up
in
that one.
Which is super bizarre, given that the Sentai of Dino Charge had a team up between all 3 dinosaur teams, which I thought was a huge missed opportunity for Dino Charge. But surprisingly enough, they ended up adapting the triple Dino teams for Beast Morphers, I believe, which is pretty random.
I mean, I think you gotta understand that was like Saban trying way too hard to recapture the Mighty Morphin love, but at least with Hasbro, they're more embracing that than like Saban was, because guess it was just out of touch.
I will say this though, because I saw like highlights of the episode where Jason finally returned, and it has to be said, Austin St. John has aged extremely well and kept in reasonably good shape, but to hear him go and say, "It's morphin' time," once more, I just thought, okay, my inner 12-year-old is doing cartwheels as we speak. And it did feel a little bit cheap in some way when you see stock footage of the original Megazord cockpit, but I didn't think they would even bother to do like a new makeup thing to do like a new version. But it brought it was tugging on the nostalgia strings, and I just thought, you know what, it's been so many years since I've seen footage like that. It's like, I'm gonna let it slide and just let it be what it is. But I did find it weird how he wouldn't sort of say in character, "Hey Trini, hey Zach, hey Kim, hey Billy," when one of them is sadly no longer with us, one of them refuses to come back because of the way he was treated, and the other one's off being a film director. Which
and don't forget, one of them is a voice actor.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not the original Black Ranger. Sorry.
Although Amy Jo Johnson only just turned 51 the other day.
Holy
damn.
Wow.
They're looking good to
Wow.
And has to be said, Amy, I don't know what you're taking, but pass it around. Sharing is caring. But I will say, and I think I can say this without getting in any trouble or for being inappropriate. Possibly everyone's favorite Pink Ranger, and was one of my first crushes back in the day. Because it's Kim. What's not to like? You know, her character was the stereotypical Valley girl, but she was a Valley girl with heart. She's basically, to some that can understand this, imagine Nikki Bella, but without wanting to slap her for being an obnoxious bitch.
Right.
Nikki, all you gotta do is not have a bad attitude. Be like Kimberly. Kimberly's nicer. And Amy's all natural.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway, as for the article,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
just below the tweet.
Speaking of which, DR3 Rakai on Twitter a week ago discovered that that Bandai, who co-owns Sentai with Toei, no longer lists their trademark as Super Sentai. Power Rangers now just simply Super Sentai. Ooh. It is important to note that this is not an official confirmation of Toei Hasbro split between. However, this does seem to be.
No, not that tweet. The previous tweet.
Oh, beg your pardon.
In this quote.
Beg your pardon, my bad. In this quote, Hasbro confirms that the upcoming Power Rangers movie is still development, have more interesting plans to bring the franchise to animation to some shape or form. This is very interesting news to hear, especially considering the rumors of Hasbro ceasing their partnership with Toei after the seasons of Dino Fury. Hasbro officially confirms red, blue, and pink Ranger actors for Power Rangers Dino Fury. It is possible that Hasbro could be using an animated series to continue the franchise after Dino Fury is over. This is just speculation on my part, however. And tweet reading, hey, so remember that rumor going around that Toei and Hasbro were ending their relationship regarding Power Rangers? Well, Bandai's FY 2021 Q1 group-wide sales no longer list Super Sentai as Super Sentai Power Rangers. So, and it goes on to some very
Technical stuff.
Yeah.
Business stuff.
There was a promo type of animation short.
Power Rangers Origins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it showed like a kind of cartoony but not cartoony CG animation short where it's pretty much all 5 of the original Ranger suits but with a Megazord that looks nothing like the original Megazord.
Right.
And you see Trini doing like this very caricature style of trying to pull her helmet off and then saying, how do you like our new look? And it's just like, why don't you
Found it.
Oh, you
Why
found
wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, I figured at that moment maybe they thought they weren't ready for an animated Power Rangers thing, because remember, this is Saban, and so I believe Saban was known for like corner cutting, and also I assumed that creating animation would have been a much more costly endeavor than simply taking a show where half the work or the most of the work is already done for you in Japan. Just import it over, film a couple original fight scenes involving all the actors, shoot it over in New Zealand because again it's cheaper, and there you go. There's your product. So
Doing that shit is wild for us.
yeah. So, or heck, since the very beginning, with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, all that shit is already done for you in Japan. Just got to film up a couple live action sequences, edit it all together, and boom, presto, you have yourself an action series. So I assume that for Saban, doing a fully animated show where you got to do all the work was too much on their part.
Yeah, I can see that.
As for why Hasbro would make this move, I got perhaps two reasons why. One is that Hasbro isn't exactly known for doing live action projects, unless anyone here can feel free to correct me on this. But yeah, when I first heard the news that Hasbro bought Power Rangers, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think Hasbro does live action stuff. Are they capable of doing live action stuff? Because again, all they do is animation, whether it's Transformers, G.I. Joe, or My Little Pony. The only thing that comes to mind was a Hasbro game show that used to be on the Hub network, for anyone who remembers when that channel was a thing.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
And
Mhm.
so I figured maybe they don't have the capabilities of producing any more. Apparently they're doing Dino Fury, which is like, wait, why are they still making one more season when they're gonna abandon it from here on out? I don't know.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
just
go
like
ahead.
fill-up until they can get their
Yeah.
plans fully in operation, like they did with Transformers: Robots in Disguise.
Right. This might be like the transitional season. Like, let's do a show where majority of the work is already done for us in Japan while we work on this new incarnation. The second reason why I can see why Hasbro not doing any more live action stuff is that the Sentai material is becoming more and more difficult to adapt into for an American audience, mainly because a lot of the newer Sentai shows tend to be very, very, very toyetic, with very ridiculous toys, costumes, and especially Megazords that are almost impossible to market for a Western audience. Something like the cubes from Ju-Oger, the Minecraft cubes from Ju-Oger, or the crystal vehicles from Magi Ranger, to the ridiculous and ugly designs from Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger, or the fucking trains from Tokyuger.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff I would predict that a lot of that stuff material just simply would not translate to an American audience, or general Western English speaking audience. And I assume that's why they chose Ryu Soldier, because hey, it's dinosaurs. That shit you can definitely market to America, even if it does have a weird Lego combiner gimmick.
That is a question.
So I can see.
That is a question I've had on my mind for a while, because you'd have for so many years after they did away with the third season of Mighty Morphin and then would move off onto a new incarnation or a new theme, because we didn't really get a complete new incarnation when what remained of the original Mighty Morphin had retired and moved
Costumes.
on. Yeah.
Well, then again, just remember that they were already sort of doing a pseudo rebranding for seasons 2 and 3 of Power Mighty Morphin when they were adapting new Sentai for seasons 2 and 3 respectively.
Because after Turbo, it would go Power Rangers in Space. Then after that, Lost Galaxy would be a completely brand new team, would just be one season. Then it goes back to Earth and it's just one season. But then it gets to something like Power Rangers Dino Chargers, where after so many years of where it was only just like one incarnation or one season, now we're getting 2 seasons of this particular incarnation, and it was the same thing with
you mean
Megaforce.
Samurai?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Dino Charge, Super Dino Charge?
Why did it go back to more than one season?
It was Nickelodeon's decision. They did not allow Saban to make a single 50 episode season. So they ordered them to keep each season at 24, 25 episodes. So with a 24 episode limit, they decided to take that 50 episodes worth of content and split it across 2 seasons.
Okay.
So yeah, it was Nickelodeon that was limiting them on how many episodes they can produce per season. And since they had an abundance of content, they said, well, let's just spread this across 2 seasons then.
And that's why we didn't that's why we didn't get an independent season for the Gokaiger footage.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. So like Samurai Super Samurai, that was one single Sentai adaptation. Megaforce and Super Megaforce, those were two Sentai adaptations, and the reason why they shoved two whole Sentais into a single incarnation of Power Rangers was because they wanted to skip over to the anniversary Sentai so that they could use it for their Power Ranger anniversary season.
Oh, right.
So they rushed through was Go Sager for Megaforce, and then for Super Megaforce they were doing Go Kaiger, and yeah, Go Kaiger's the one where the gimmick was that these Rangers could transform into other previous Rangers.
I gotta admit
I
that
thought it was Jinkenger. It was the pirate one, right?
Yeah.
Shin Kenjer was the samurai one.
Oh, I think I'm getting confused. My mistake.
It's
I
okay.
actually watched Gokaiger when it came out originally.
I've seen the pilots. I just haven't had time for Gokaiger, but I really want to because everyone says that's like the best Sentai in like the last 10 years.
And the Gokaiger movie had the ultimate the movie of Gokaiger had all of the Megazords fighting
Yes.
enemies all at once.
I remember that. I saw a clip of that. That was amazing.
And yet Saban
yeah.
did not even adapt. Didn't
Right.
even think to adapt that.
Yeah.
That annoyed the crap out of me.
Oh, I think there was also like when they adapted the third Ninja Sentai for Ninja Steel. I believe in Japan there was much like with the Dino Charge Sentai, there was a triple crossover between all three Ninja Sentais. What was it? Kaku Ranger, Hurricaneger, yeah, and Ninninger. By the way, horrible name if you mispronounce it wrong.
Yeah.
But again, a triple ninja themed Sentai crossover, and Saban did not utilize it at all whatsoever.
Lazy and cheap. That's what they're known.
Yep.
That's what they were known back
Yeah.
it's funny.
So again, going back to Hasbro and sorry, go ahead.
It's funny.
Who was gonna talk?
It's funny you mentioned that. On the set of I think it was the 20th anniversary episode, JDF is having his camera focusing on his boot.
And yes.
The thing is completely peeled away, and he just goes, look at this. Nothing ever changes. It's just like, the only thing that did change, they actually gave him a proper shield instead of the cloth one.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you remember when it was announced that when it was not announced, it was revealed that Saban sent out a bunch of invitations to every single
I
Power
heard about that.
Ranger, and then retracted most of them.
Yeah.
Saying like, yeah, I know we sent you an invitation, but we realized we can't pay anyone, so just ignore that last mail.
I think Aisha, the actress who played Aisha, actually talked about that in a podcast.
Yeah, she mentioned it's like it was just as much as she wanted to do it, was not financially worth it, given that she would have had to pay for her own travel and accommodations, and the pay was not worth it at all whatsoever.
According to what I've heard from people, she's a feisty one on her podcast. She just lets everything fly, and I'm like, damn. According to my brother, she's lets certain words slip occasionally. Yeah, I've had to say it privately.
Oh, whoa!
Ooh, no.
I mean, she can say it, right?
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Yes, of course.
She does have the pass, right?
Of course.
It's just
yeah.
it's just so choosing my words carefully. It just feels, in a weird way, so surreal when you've heard her for so many years as this as
Time to boogie with the bear.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Co92 mentioned that was the fault of Jonathan Tzor. That almost sounds like a Power Ranger name. Zacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So going back to the whole Hasbro Power Ranger deal. So yeah, on top of the Sentai source material getting more and more ridiculous and unmarketable for a Western audience, I could see why Hasbro would decide to cut things off with them. But then you come up with a new problem for yourself, and that is now you've got to be the one to create a live action Power Rangers team, action sequences, Megazords. You got to be the one in charge of all of that shit. And so it's clear to see why for Hasbro, just animating everything is a far more easier venture than doing all that shit, live action shit on your own. Not saying that it can't be done, but to do so would require a lot of time, patience, especially money, and raw,
resources,
raw talent and resources to put together a 100% original Power Rangers live action season. And it's clear to see that for Hasbro, just animating everything is a far more logical conclusion. And as for an animated Power Rangers series, I have commented on this on Discord, so I'll just repeat what I said here. Of course, you know me, I'm a big Godzilla fan. I love Godzilla, Gamera, Power Rangers, Sentai, Ultraman, Kamen Rider. I love tokusatsu. For me, I love, some people, for them, it's not their thing. For them, it may look too fake. I understand. For me, I love the art of suits, models, all those sorts of wonderful practical effects. There's always going to be a lot of enjoyment for me with tokusatsu entertainment. And by going into the route of animation, you're definitely going to lose a lot of the magic and charm that those suits and costumes and sets have had for the last, several decades. That being said, it's clear that with animation, I'm also a fan, as much as I am a fan of tokusatsu, which is the Japanese word for live action special effects in Japan. I'm also a fan of animation. And I believe that, the world of animation can provide unlimited potential for what you can do, and while being unrestricted you're not restricted by budget, you're not restricted by the limitations of practical effects. You can pretty much there's endless possibilities with what you can do in animation. And on top of that, you can provide a far greater scope of your action and stories telling and all that stuff within animation that you probably couldn't do. That would probably be far too costly in live action. Just look at the DC animated universe, look at all the DC directed video movies. Clearly they're able to do stuff far more often than, whereas something like the Justice League movie or the Avengers movie, that takes, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars to accomplish.
When you consider a huge chunk of that budget would be just for visual effects alone.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
That's more of the DC live action universe.
But of course, with the when it comes to animation, that definitely, while it's easier, it's not exactly easy in general. You still need to have a good team, talented artists, a damn good animation director, voice director, a voice cast. It may be easier to pull off, but it's not easy, in general. You still got to put in a lot of the work to make something as good as a lot of what is out there, like, you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender, or what's another, you know, again, like I mentioned before, the DCAU, or there's, I would love to see Power Rangers be done well at the end of the day. And so, given the success that Hasbro has had with its animated properties, I'm very excited to see what they could potentially do with Power Rangers in the future. I am curious to know what kind of direction they'll go in, and given what we were talking about, Hasbro's constant rehashing of G1 material, I bet you we're going to get a lot of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin material from here on out. But at the very least, I would love to see Power Rangers done well. I mean, I can see it going one of two ways. It can either be made very childish, like Transformers Cyberverse, or it could be done maybe for a mixture of both audiences, like Transformers Animated, or maybe they'll go the more mature route and create something like the Netflix War for Cybertron Siege series. Who knows?
Or Transformers Prime.
Or Transformers Prime, yeah. I would love to see a Prime style take on Power Rangers, where it's something that is appealing for all audiences and does not treat unlike Saban, does not treat its audience like a bunch of brain dead idiots, where everything has to be explained to you repeatedly and slowly as possible. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential here for an animated Power Rangers series. And I will always say that one medium, when it comes to tokusatsu and animation, or animation practical effects, I would never say that one is inherently better than the other. But it does. But the field of animation does provide something new for Power Rangers, and I'm not sure how popular Power Rangers is for this current generation of kids, but in order for a property to survive, it's got to adapt to the times. It's got to maintain relevancy. It's got to be able to adapt and change, and change things up every once in a while to keep things fresh and interesting. And who knows, maybe animation is the shot in the arm that this 25-year-old franchise needs in order to last. Because even though stuff like Ultraman, Sentai, Kamen Rider, even though they're still continuing to this day, they're not, I don't believe they are as relevant in Japan as they were, say, even 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So, yeah, obviously, animation is something that is, universally popular. Kids love cartoons. We loved cartoons as much as kids do today. So, who knows? Maybe that's the ticket.
I will say, though, if they get an animated series going, and considering the Batman Ninja Turtles movie was able to be pulled off, I have 4 simple words that I want done if they do an animated movie. Justice League Power Rangers.
Oh,
yes!
Yeah. Or you know what? With if they can get the people behind the DCAU movies, or the DC direct-to-video movies, and they have been doing they spend many years doing adaptations of New 52 comic material, I would love for a series of direct-to-video animated movies based on different story arcs from the Boom comics.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would fucking love that. Just again, I feel like the Boom comics, that is the peak example of Power Rangers done right. It's not too
they
have
definitely resurged. They have definitely
for anyone who sorry
series.
For anyone who just talk, damn it.
all right, I'm sorry. Like you said, the Boom Studios Power Rangers have given the series a brand new life, because all these years Power Rangers has been seen as kid stuff, but what they've done with the series in general, especially with the Shattered Dimension.
Yeah.
Lord
Uh,
Draken.
Shattered Grid.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
the Shattered Grid series.
Mm.
They took it to a very mature, very mature
Yeah.
direction
Yeah.
with it. So with that said, I think that's what a lot of people want to see with that, but don't want to lose the same luster that that. Anyone remember that one short Power Slash Rangers?
Yeah, it definitely does
I
not go
remember
in
that one.
direction. Like when we say mature, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of sort of like that one, but it kind of went too dark.
Definitely,
Yeah.
When we say mature, we don't mean blood and gore or nudity or swearing or any of that. That's not what we mean by mature. When we mean mature, we mean, again, it doesn't treat its audience like a bunch of idiots, and it's able to
Yeah.
tell a story that makes you emotionally invested from
In
beginning
the
to end.
characters.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Again, much like, let's say, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, it's still fun. It's still fantastical. It still keeps what you love about the original property, but it manages to tell a compelling story that makes you give a shit because the writers give a shit.
So imagine,
Mm-hmm.
say, a Green Ranger origin story in an animated form, but done with the tone of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah. Or,
Yeah.
funny enough, the Boom comic starts off right after the Green Ranger, the Green with Evil saga, and it kind of captures your imagination, where it's like the Green Ranger, he just joined the team, but he still feels guilty over all of the destruction he caused while under Rita Repulsa's spell, and he feels like the team is still not fully trusting of him. So it's like already he feels guilty.
You get actual character conflict, especially
Yeah.
especially with Jason and Tommy.
Yeah, and then the public's reaction is like, why are the Power Rangers now hanging out with the Green Ranger now? This is weird. Again, it's like, these are simple ideas, but they work so well and they make so much sense.
Not to mention, they actually make Bulk and Skull more involved with the Rangers itself.
Oh yeah, by kind of turning them into vloggers who are trying to get some sort of clout by looking up looking up information on the Rangers and reporting on them online.
Which, in a weird way, is kind of a modernized version of what they were doing during season 2.
Yeah, when they were trying to figure out their secret identities.
Not to mention, if you want to look up Power Rangers designs, the Boom comics have offered a few new additions into the franchise in terms of designs. You've got the Omega Rangers,
Oh yes.
Ranger Slayer, and Lord Draken, and let's not forget the Solar Ranger from Beyond the Grid. That was an original Ranger.
Ellerin.
I am surprised that they only put in one Sentai. Like, I was when they were introducing new Power Ranger teams, I was kind of hoping they'd go back in time. The Boom Studios could actually get permission to get some older pre-Jew Ranger, pre-Mighty Morphin Sentai costumes for those suits, for those new comic Rangers. But it seemed like the only Sentai exclusive Ranger they got was for Heckle in the comics, since Heckle was never a Ranger in Dino Charge, but they made him a Ranger using a Sentai movie exclusive costume.
They kind of sort of did that for Psycho Green's origin for that Psycho Ranger Lone series.
Okay, yeah. Wasn't Psycho. Yeah, Psycho Green. That was definitely that was more of an original thing. But yeah, you're right. They went back to the Mega Ranger costumes, which was used for In Space, I believe, and then used that to create Psycho Green. Yeah. I believe there was one point where they introduced a Power Ranger team from like the 60s or 70s, and I was hoping I was honestly hoping they'd use the original
Power Rangers 1969.
Yeah. I was hoping that they were going to use the Go Ranger costumes, but from what I could tell, they were just using the same Mighty Morphin suits, so I was a bit disappointed with that, honestly.
The only thing
I mean,
that could have easily have been
at least I mean, you have to admit, at least they did something different with that instead of just like going with the new suits. I mean, yeah, the Mighty Morphin thing can get a little jarring, but at least they did something different.
Yeah.
I found it interesting with Power Rangers 1969. They kind of switched things around a little bit. The Red Ranger was a female leader, and the Yellow and Pink Rangers were guys.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there are some rarities that the guys are Yellow Rangers. I mean, remember Ninja Storm?
Mystic Force also had the Yellow Ranger be a boy.
Yeah, Mystic Force.
And A Squad in SPD.
Hi, Squad.
Well, I think
honestly, I'm really glad that they're introducing some more female Red Rangers because this is a franchise that is severely lacking in female Red Rangers. And it's kind of sad that their only representation of a female Red Ranger was from Samurai, even though that was a character that only appeared for like less than a couple episodes.
And then she got pushed to the aside for good old Jaden. Everybody loves Jaden.
Yeah. Although I can tell that Saban was definitely trying.
The most white bread Red Ranger ever. Aside from Troy from was it Meg?
I don't know.
From Megaforce.
Megaforce, yeah.
But it seems like they really
let go of their weapons.
It seems like they really wanted to make up for that by putting what's her name, Lauren Shiba, the temporary red Samurai Ranger. They put her in a lot of in the crossover Shattered Grid stuff. They put her in the mobile game, the video game. They definitely tried to redeem the character and promote her in a bunch of stuff to given her uniqueness. Yeah. Oh, and before, when I was talking about unmarketable mech designs, this is the kind of shit I mean.
Okay, hold up.
This is meant to be a combination of two Zords. How do we combine them? Just take.
What in the actual fuck is this?
This is from Lupin Ranger versus Patho Ranger. In other words, Power Rangers, Cops, and Robbers. And this is this is two Sentai Megazords combined, but they combine them in like the laziest way possible by slapping the arms and legs of one Megazord onto the body of another. How do we? It's like remember?
Damn, it's like Crayola. I mean, Crayola had that license to Power Rangers, and they did this shit.
It's like. Do you remember how? Let's see. Do you remember when the Megazord combined with the Dragon Zord and how awesome that was?
Yeah. Mega Dragon Zord.
Or do you remember when like the Zeo Megazord combined with the Red Battle Zord?
Yes.
Or do you remember when, let's say the first two Megazords from In Space, the blue one and the black one combined?
Of course.
Well, fuck all that shit. Let's just take arms and legs and slap them on the main Megazord's body. In the least creative way possible.
My God.
So yeah, you can definitely tell why Hasbro doesn't want to deal with this shit.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to find this in from something I remember seeing online. But some of the designs for Megazords in the comics, they had way more creativity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Megazord design, not the Megazord. The original mech designs for the comics is good. The only thing I would criticize about the Megazord, the Boom comics design wise, is that their monster designs are really lacking.
Oh my God, I forgot how cool this looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it combines because I believe this was in the Go-Go Power Ranger series where it was tying into Shattered Grid with the Ranger Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. yeah, if Rage Slave actually piloted this shit was super cool. First time seeing that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, why does that look like Death Scythe?
Gundam Death Scythe?
It's the wings.
Little bit. Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, that's like the Phoenix. I think that's
yeah,
that is
the wings of the
Thunder
Phoenix.
Zord.
Combination of the Thunder Zords. Oh wait,
Mhm.
no, that's wrong image. Come on.
Although, interesting thing, somebody actually found the time to actually connect the Thunder Zords to Dragon Zord.
Oh,
Nice.
Hang on.
And I got one more Megazord from Shattered Grid, where a bunch of Sentai team members combined their Zords together to form this original creation. There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
This was absolutely sick.
Oh
I
yeah, it
want
was the
that
Fight
toy.
Serpentera.
Give me that toy. I want that toy.
Heck, you've even got some of the ones from the game Hyperforce.
Yeah. They included the RPG Rangers from the web series into this comic.
See, Hasbro, if you're ever listening to this podcast, consider making a system like this.
I mean, so far
Had the right idea. Go ahead.
So far, what they're doing now is they're releasing a life-size figure of the Thunder Megazord.
Oh yeah.
They had the right idea with the Zord Builder gimmick in those early 2010 Megazords, where each Megazord had swappable body parts, but it didn't really go over too well. And apparently they have been improving. Hasbro has been making a bunch of new. I think they released a new Megazord that's actually posable with actual knees and elbows. But it's still not to my liking. It kind of looks a little cheap, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Same goes for the Beast Morpher Megazords. So they haven't made something on the level of a Generations Transformers figure. So I'm still waiting on that. But who knows? Give it a couple years, and I'm sure they'll make something interesting.
Well, apparently they've recently got the designer for the main head of the Transformer design team, and he's moved over to the Power Rangers brand.
Wow.
So apparently that could mean possibly good toy designs for future installments.
Yeah. I did hear that they recently made a Lightning Collection Zeo Megazord figure, but I don't think that one combines. I think that one's just a figure, but it looks like a damn good figure. Found the image. I gotta say, the Zeo Megazord is definitely a very underrated one.
Very.
Yeah, that's the Zord Builder gimmick, MJ. Yeah, that's the Zord Builder in action.
Nice. Because to my understanding, in the Sentai version for O-Ranger, the Super Zeozords came first, then it was the Zeozords.
No, I think that
was
you're
wasn't
thinking of Kaku Ranger, aka Mighty Morphin Season 3.
Ninja Zords and the Shogun Zords.
Yeah. The Shogun Zord came first, then the Ninja Zord.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot about this. The Mega Grave Zord. God, that looks amazing.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. You got the T-Rex, you got the Thunder Dragon, you got the Megazord and Tiger Zord all combined into one amazing beast of a machine. If only their monsters looked at this good.
Right?
It just makes me wonder what would Lord Draken's Amalgam Megazord look like if he still had the powers of all the other Zords. Tiger Zord, Dragon Zord, Falcon Zord, and
Mhm.
whatever other powers he could muster, what he could do if he could combine all those together.
Funny
Yeah,
you say
yeah.
that. A few friends and I have talked about that on and off down the years. Like, you could easily try to find a way to make a Megazord based on Tommy's Zords throughout the years, and some will say,
Yeah.
well, you can't do that with Falcon Zord and the Zeo Zords because they got blown up. No. The Ninja Zords and the Shogun Zords were never blown up because of the time reversal that happened during Alien Rangers. They went back to Ninja's temple, and the Zeo Zords are still on Earth. They're just hiding somewhere.
Hidden in the cavern after the power chamber was blown up.
And also,
Same goes for the Dragon Zord. It was never destroyed on screen. Only the
Thunder Zords.
only the Thunder Zords were ever shown to be destroyed. And speaking of Thunder Zords, here's a preview of their upcoming Thunder Zord figure. Not combinable like Zeo, just
Yeah, this is the
really
one I was.
cool
Yeah, this is the
looking.
one I was. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, I loving these anime style proportions.
Seriously, it's look.
Like if you can make something that looks this good and posable and combinable, then you have me sold.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
where it
Hopefully
said-
Hasbro can pull that off.
is where it says in the previous image, Mega Grave Zord. I'm now having this image. What if, if the unusual suspect is listening to this? Power Rangers, Buffy the Vampire Slayer parody. Make it now.
Ooh.
Or, and I'm just throwing this out there.
Okay.
If they do the animation route with Power Rangers, get Sarah Michelle Gellar to come in and voice one of the Rangers. Or just,
Ooh, Kimberly, please.
She's still got the voice for it, yeah. I want Sarah Michelle Gellar as Amy. Well, I'd like to just have Sarah Michelle Gellar for dinner, but that's my own disturbing plans for one evening, so we'll talk about that another time.
Here's the slightly more posable combining Megazord, which to me looks a bit cheap when you can tell a lot of stuff is unpainted, especially the forearms. There you go. Still loading. There we go.
Yeah, I can't really see it. Ew.
And the-
yeah, you're absolutely right. Yikes.
Ooh.
And the idea is that you get them in sets. You get the
Right.
Tyrannosaurus, the Mammoth
I don't
Mastodon,
like that.
and the Pterodactyl, Saber-toothed Tiger, and the Triceratops.
All
Pack-
separately.
3 packs, usually 2 Zords within each. And then you have to buy them all to make the Megazord.
Mm-hmm.
Assembly required, each sold separately.
I
Mm-hmm.
almost got the Megazord back in the day, but ended up settling for Sega Genesis in the end, which is like, okay, probably got the better end of the deal, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
I remember one of my next door neighbor, he had the original Megazord, and I was so jealous.
Mm.
The
Funny
only-
enough, I never. Go ahead.
Oh. The only Megazord, the only Power Ranger toys I remember getting back in the day were the punching
Battle
mini
Zord?
Zeo, Battle Zord, and the Warrior Wheel.
Yeah.
Wheel.
Oh, the warrior
Yeah.
wheel.
Mm.
Yeah, I had that. I remember.
that was almost like Tommy having a Zord in sort of every department in that series. I'm like, okay, Tommy, love you, but you're becoming a bit of a Gary Stu here. Just saying.
Becoming? Excuse me?
You know what I mean. If he wasn't a Gary Stu before, this pretty much cemented him.
Don't you mean Tommy Sue?
I mean, so
No, Tommy Stu.
No.
Yeah, because
Oh.
you can't really call a Mary
Oh,
Sue
Mary
a
Sue,
stew, because, well, then you get the Twitter people coming in being offended. We are the Twitter people. We are offended. I'm a regular person. I don't give a damn. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Two and a Half Men lately, and I feel like some of Charlie Sheen's lines are rubbing off on me. But, you know, decent series after he left. Oh, it went downhill.
Yes, it did.
Any other topics to cover tonight?
Oh, okay. I did have one more article.
Sure.
Let's see. This one's about a life-size Godzilla attraction that was recently built at a particular theme park in Japan.
Oh.
Oh, I really want to go there.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's a zipline attraction.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mhm. Last year I was at every year on November 3rd, which is Godzilla's birthday, there is a festival in Tokyo called Godzilla Fest, and I was there last year and they had a preview of this attraction, which was sort of like a table-sized model, and I'm going to share with you guys a picture I took of the model prior to the start of construction. There you go.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
Damn.
And so, yeah, it's pretty cool that they now have the finished thing all set up now.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah. So, the under construction attraction at Nijigen no Mori theme park seems to be shaping up nicely with epic scale and a possible Easter egg. Japan's life-size Godzilla theme park attraction is nearing completion, and a series of new photos shows the famed movie monster in all his epic glory. The attraction, which will include various quote-unquote missions for guests to complete in and around the giant lizard model, is currently under construction at Awaji Island's Nijigen no Mori theme park. The attraction, announced last year, is the latest appearance for the nuclear blasting city stomping monster, who's become such an iconic cultural symbol in Japan and across the world. The original film, released in '54, was written as a cry against the atomic bombing of Japan by the United States at the end of World War II, which killed over 100,000 innocent civilians in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Toho Pictures' latest Godzilla film, Shin Godzilla, drew many parallels to the 2011 nuclear disaster at the Fukushima power plant and its aftermath. The new photos posted to Twitter by accounts Horo Horo no Mi and Riku 2006 showed Godzilla's massive head, gaping mouth, and iconic spines, with accompanying construction equipment accentuated the model's epic scale. The model bears a striking resemblance to the Shin Godzilla version of the creature, with the unhinged jaw and racks of crooked, jagged teeth in particular, harkening to the Lovecraft-inspired design of the 2016 film. One photo shows a strange separate model on the ground, which appears to be the mangled remains of a head of some kind, given the visible tooth line. Oh yeah, that's definitely the tip of Godzilla's tail. And for those of you who don't know what the tip of Godzilla's tail looks like, here's a picture for reference. Enjoy the horrors.
woo shit.
Yeah, I'm not
And
so
here's
sure if it
another
showed
model
that.
here's a model of the tail, less disgusting but equally creepy.
Phallic symbol.
Oh wow.
And yes, that is indeed a skull within a skull.
Vestigial head.
Let's see.
Wait, Godzilla a conjoined twin?
You don't want to know. Per CNN, yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Per CNN, this Nijigen no Mori attraction will be the world's first permanent 2-scale replica of Godzilla at 65 feet, 82 feet wide, and 180 feet long, though much of the lizard's lower body is quote-unquote hidden underground. Once completed, Godzilla will reportedly be home to different games and attractions, including a zip line directly into the monster's mouth and some sort of shooting game. Yeah, there's like a miniature shooting gallery on the side of Godzilla. The strange skull model. Oh yeah, this one goes into some things saying, is the skull possibly King Kong? And it's like, no, that's Shin Godzilla's tail. And also, finally, I have a video of the zip line, which is a Facebook post, which I'll share right here for you guys. So for those who can log into those who can see the video, there it is, and you can see the person with probably some kind of GoPro with a first-person view of the zipline attraction.
Okay.
Okay, I'm at 0-0.
Okay.
Give me just a moment.
Same.
Alright, oh, we don't have to actually log into Facebook for that. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Does it say when the park will be complete?
Let's see here.
Oh shit. I mean to do that.
No problem.
There we go.
I don't think so. I think it's technically open now.
If I have the money next year, I want to go to Japan and do that for my 30th.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
pretty cool. Just as long as its scales aren't glowing, because that means something bad will happen.
Yeah.
Everyone
that
at
would
0-0?
Yeah, I'm at
Let's see. Yeah, now I'm at 0-0. What was the thing? There was another attraction. Oh yeah, there was another announcement that actually there's another Japanese theme park announcement, but I'll share that after this.
Okay.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1, play.
That would be so awesome, yet terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my lord.
Wow.
Yep.
That'd be so cool. Kind of terrifying too, mostly.
Most definitely, yeah. But yeah, the attraction is now open, so there you go. Let's see if I can find the last article I wanted to share. I don't know why Facebook is acting so slow this morning. Found it. Copy and paste.
Oh, wow.
Oh my!
Opening
World.
season announced for Universal Studios Japan's Super Nintendo World. This summer, there was an event that was supposed to take place in Japan that not only people across the nation, but all around the world were looking forward to. It was supposed to be the culmination of years of preparation and a chance to turn dreams that began in childhood into reality, until the coronavirus derailed those plans.
Ugh.
What's that? The Tokyo Olympics? Oh yeah, those got delayed too. And sure, it's a bummer, but what we're talking about today is Universal Studios Japan's gigantic Super Nintendo World expansion, which was supposed to open in early summer, but was delayed indefinitely due to pandemic-related reasons. But now, after months of waiting, USJ, as the Osaka theme park is also known, has announced when we'll finally get to visit Super Nintendo World, spring 2021. The park has even revealed a few details of the sort of rides and attractions fans can expect, such as an extremely realistic Mario Kart, traveling through Mario's world while riding on the back of the dinosaur pal Yoshi, challenging adventures that send you through the areas using a power-up bracelet, punchable question mark blocks. There's even going to be a sneak peek of sorts on October 16th when a Mario Cafe and store will open up in Universal Studio Japan's pre-existing Hollywood area. In addition to a Mario motif for both the interior and exterior decor, the restaurant will feature a range of themed food and drinks like edible Mario and Luigi caps, which are actually cleverly designed handheld pancake desserts with strawberry shortcake and grape cheesecake flavors.
Oh, those look delicious.
If you prefer If you prefer your desserts in drinkable form, there's also fruit cream sodas, strawberry for Mario, green apple for Luigi, with playful straws that give you the brothers' signature mustaches every time you lean in to take a sip. And yes, they made sure to accurately recreate their individual facial hairstyles.
Dedication.
Princess Peach is also represented with, of course, a peach cream soda. As is the always welcome super mushroom, which thankfully doesn't contain liquid fungus extract, but instead the soft drink of your choice and features a carrying strap, like with Tokyo Disneyland's perennially popular character popcorn buckets. The idea is that you'll take the super mushroom cap home as a souvenir. Universal Studios Japan has yet to give Super Nintendo World a more specific grand opening date than sometime next spring, but that's still a lot better than the previous sometime period. With Japan's Golden Week spring vacation period straddling the end of April and start of May, it seems like USJ would obviously be aiming for some time before then. And with international tourist travel to Japan hopefully resuming in the spring as well, it looks like there's going to be a lot to be happy about once winter ends.
Woo! Actually, would like to visit that place.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm almost formulating an idea in my head. Group trip to Japan.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
That would be
Maybe.
great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll probably be back home in America. I'll probably have moved back home to America by then, but would definitely always be in the mood for a trip back to Japan, especially when I'm not working anymore there. And in related news, I just found this article right here, since we just talked about a trip to Japan. Japan to reopen to international tourists with new entry requirements. Government sets a date for opening the country borders to the world again. It's been over half a year since Japan closed its borders to international tourists as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. And while it's dealt a particularly hard blow to the tourism industry, big time, especially in light of the fact that the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics was scheduled to bring in millions of visitors during the summer of 2020. So far, it's helped to keep cases of coronavirus relatively low and prevented the collapse of the local health system. Now that the Tokyo Olympics is scheduled to begin on July 23rd, pandemic or not, according to reports, the topic of when to start lifting the entry ban on tourists from overseas has become a pressing issue. The Japanese government, who recently lifted the ban on non-citizen foreign residents from October, says they've now begun full-scale investigations on how and when they'll be opening up the country to foreign tourists. Government officials have revealed that they plan to have coronavirus countermeasures set up for international tourists by January next year. Once these safety measures are in place, the government says Japan plans to lift the ban on foreign tourists on a trial basis from April 2021, while keeping an eye on the pandemic situation in Japan and overseas. The new safety measures aim to cover the 3 steps of a tourist's journey from arrival through to stay and departure, and the establishment of health management map and a dedicated fever center. Foreign tourists who wish to visit Japan will be required to download the health management app and will be obligatory to obtain a pre-departure coronavirus negative test certificate. If a new arrival does test positive for the virus after entering the country, they will be required to take out private medical insurance. Those who test negative upon arrival will not be required to quarantine inside a hotel. Instead, they'll be required to report their health status through the app for 14 days after entering Japan. The tentatively named Fever Health Consultation Support Center will be set up specifically for overseas visitors as a way to take the pressure off local governments and avoid burdening the Japanese health system. The health center will likely be set up in Tokyo and the host city for the Olympics. the host city for the Olympics. Government officials say the new safety measures for foreign visitors will remain in place after the Olympics, as Japan attempts to take measured steps towards reviving international tourism. However, the government admits there are still many issues that need to be resolved before the ban on foreign tourists is lifted, including how to ensure the app is used correctly, the number of tourists allowed in during the Olympics, and what limits, if any, will be placed on the activities of tourists while in the country. So yeah, it looks like they may begin allowing foreigners into Japan around April, but they may start as early as January.
Nice.
Yeah, which is kind of strange because originally, starting this month in October, they're allowing people into Japan, but they're not allowed to actually go around. They're not technically anyone can come to Japan right now, but they have to be quarantined for 2 whole weeks, and they're not allowed to go sightseeing. So I think that's what they mean by they are not allowing tourists yet. So yeah, anybody who's coming to Japan, you can come, but you can't come here for actual tourism. So let's say if you were to say, "Oh, I'm here to visit my friend Andres who lives in Gifu," they'll most likely let you in, but you would have to stay somewhere for 2 whole weeks, and you can only stick around Gifu. It's not like you can go to Tokyo Disneyland or Osaka or Shinjuku or wherever. So yeah, you can come in Japan. You come to Japan right now, but you can pretty much do jack shit.
Well, some very hang on, sorry, got air caught in my throat there. Some very useful topics, some particularly eye-openers with tourists being let back in the future and the Super Nintendo world at Japan. I mean, imagine if they could do a Sega world over at one of the Universal Studios, whether it be Florida, Los Angeles, or heck.
I believe they're currently constructing an American Super Nintendo world at Universal Studios Hollywood right now, currently.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I believe it is going to be on the same floor as the Jurassic Park attraction, or now Jurassic World attraction.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, what used to be the backdraft, the backdraft stage was torn down. In fact, there's a huge chunk of area around the Transformers ride that used to be other attractions that's being torn down to make room for Super Nintendo World, including the famed Phantom of the Opera stage, which was their oldest stage, film stage, which was taken down a year or 2 ago in preparation for construction.
Awesome.
But those pancakes looked delicious.
There were other topics to go through, but considering the time of the evening now, and I'm probably going to drop off in about 40 minutes to an hour. I think this is probably as good a time as any
to
end it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Oh, before you go, I do also want to use this chance to promote my new book, which was released on Amazon Kindle last week. Primal Warrior Draco Azul Full Metal Chronicles, which is a novel-length anthology of 5 short stories written by yours truly. 5 of them being Draco Azul stories set in between issues 1 and 2 of the comic, and the 6th story being a brand new mecha fable that is sort of like an introduction to a brand new story, brand new world that is essentially a cross between Gundam and Mad Max.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, and also I have an introduction by kaiju novelist Matthew Denian, author of novels such as Chimera Scourge of the Gods, Polar Yeti, and his biggest claim to fame, Atomic Rex.
Cool.
Who's now available to play in Daikaiju Daikason.
Yes, alongside Draco Azul and Beyantha.
Ooh.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Biatha.
Thank you, Biatha. So yeah, there it is. Primal Warrior Draco Azul, Full Metal Chronicles, written by yours truly, for $1.99 on Kindle, paperback edition coming soon.
And don't forget to also buy Draco Azul issues 1 and 2.
Yes, in fact, let's see. If you were to scroll over to my name, Andres Perez, on the Amazon page, you can click on my name and you can find the comics there.
Oh wow. Oh wow. There's a lot there. Wow.
So yeah, there you can see Primal Warrior. Oh yeah, you can find at the very bottom of the list the Draco Azul series, parentheses 2 books.
Nice. Yeah. Buy his comic, folks. Buy it.
It's a good read. It is a good read. I highly recommend it.
Yes. Steve was gracious enough to leave a review for each of the comics, so definitely check it out.
And not to get on too much of a tangent, but don't forget to buy my t-shirt. We're allowed to switch.
Yes.
It is the weekend. Enjoy it.
Yes. Definitely do
Also-
support
also-
MJ's shirts.
Also buy your El Sustain Me shirts and cups. Remember, piss off your enemies with the win that they can't get to you.
Give me a moment. I will actually scroll down and get the link for that because there's a lot on my Teespring page. Good lord.
Yes.
One of my buddies from my college days was looking at it. It's like, how the hell did you populate this store with all this stuff? It's like, I have a lot of free time on my hands. I make it happen. Oh, good lord, go down. Okay, come on. Oh, I'm looking at all the hoodies now.
That and the t-shirt, the variant of It's the Weekend, we're allowed to be weird.
Oh yes.
Because what's the fun in being normal?
None.
Mm-mm.
None whatsoever. I mean, you get to be normal. Ugh. Normal? Huh, do not insult me.
That's fate worse than death, to be honest with you.
Yep, and as Raiden just said, if it'll load. Come on. Yes, for the gamer that takes pride in their accomplishments by making their opponents take an L. Paul Feig, you should know this better than anyone. Now you can wear it with pride or drink it from a coffee mug. And I even say this expression was inspired by SKL co-host Cyber-Raiden.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Drink on your enemy's tears, and you'll become stronger than God.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, be as strong as Saitama.
Yes.
Segata.
Yeah. Okay, folks.
Okay.
Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for being so ever patient with the delay this evening, and that was in fact a lot in part due to a not so much an editing error. It's just one of those Vegas decided to go and be Vegas this evening and just screw up on one of the little text graphics, so it was delayed for the sole specific purpose of having the review ready for live streaming, because I always believe in giving my audience exactly what they deserve, and that is the best. And yeah, I didn't want to make people wait that long, but it was forces beyond my control, so it got resolved. I gave you, what I think, you wanted. And turns out, actually turned out a lot better than what some of you were thinking. Especially with the Sonic gag. I mean, like I say, that just came to me one evening. I'm like, click. So yeah, that just works. So thank you so much for this evening. It's been a great night tonight. Buy Kaiju's comic. Sign up to Steven's Ludo Jedi School. Trust me, he's working on it. He will make you feel close. Raiden will just do that with Tatiana Ali later. And buy my t-shirts. Seriously, folks, this really helps the channel out because...
Do it.
I mean, yeah, I would love to be able to be in a situation where I'm rolling in money each week, but heck, if I could sell just two to three of these a week, that's nearly 50 to 60 bucks in my pocket a month. That can help go towards purchasing new equipment, new software, possible upgrades to the computer, and in turn you get a nice trade-off deal because I'm able to provide much better content, and who knows, at some point in the future, hopefully not in a galaxy far, far away. I don't really have the travel funds to be able to make that kind of journey just yet. Maybe we'll get, a review where I'm on the green screen and Kaiju actually appears out from the corner, not as an avatar cameo. Just like,
yeah, we gotta do that.
How good of you to come. Yes, people of the internet, I'm now actually in the same place.
Woo!
And then Oni probably just burst through the door. It's like, this is for all the Hulk Hogan jokes, assholes. Like, love you too, dude.
No. I'll be like, down, honey, no.
No, just wave it back a couple of cheesy poos in his face, and he'll be like, yes, dear, I'll do as you're told.
Yeah, let's not make that situation worse.
It's like, and then you just say, you'll do as you're told, will you? I really shouldn't have said that. No, you shouldn't. This has been a fun night, folks. I hope we can do more like these, because, like I say, this has been a hell of a lot of fun. Would have been great if Win was in a better place health-wise, because we're not going to go into the fine details. Win's just having a bit of an off night. There are things that she's told us we can't go into because...
Then stop talking about it.
I was about to say discretion. That's all we're going to leave it as. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Co92, Sean Retro, and Dan, and to the Firebird when he was here earlier. And see you next week. Good night from the night. Buy Kaiju's comic, buy my t-shirt, sign up to Steven's Jedi School.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.